Have you ever felt like you're working hard, but not really moving forward in life? Like you know what you want, but something keeps holding you back from becoming your best self? This audiobook is designed to change that. It goes beyond the usual advice and shows you exactly how to take control of your life, your choices, and your habits, so you can become the person you've always wanted to be. You'll discover practical ways to master your emotions, build confidence, and stay disciplined even when motivation fades. You'll learn how to turn failure into a teacher, create habits that stick, and connect with people who actually help you grow. Every chapter is built to give you tools you can use right away, not ideas you'll forget in a day. Imagine waking up with energy and focus, making decisions that feel right for you, and handling challenges without panic or doubt. That's what self-leadership looks like when it's done intentionally. This audiobook doesn't just talk about being productive or successful. It shows you how to design your life so that progress comes naturally, step by step. By the end of this video, you'll see how small, consistent choices can completely reshape your mindset, your habits, and the way you move through the world. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear can help you take control, grow faster, and finally live with the clarity and confidence you've been searching for. Chapter 1: Awaken your hidden potential through daily self-awareness. Most people walk through life asleep. They move from one day to the next without truly seeing themselves. They react instead of respond. They drift instead of steer. They blame circumstances instead of examining their own choices. This is not living. This is existing on autopilot. You were not born to live on autopilot. Deep within you lies a reservoir of untapped potential waiting to be discovered. But here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. That potential will remain hidden unless you develop one critical skill: self-awareness. Not the kind that makes you feel good for 5 minutes after reading an inspirational quote. Real self-awareness. The kind that forces you to look at yourself with honest eyes. The kind that reveals your patterns, exposes your blind spots, and shows you exactly where you sabotage your own success. Self-awareness is not about achieving perfection. It is about understanding yourself so deeply that you can make conscious choices instead of unconscious reactions. It is about recognizing the stories you tell yourself and questioning whether those stories serve your growth or keep you stuck. It is about observing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment so you can redirect them toward who you want to become. Think about how you started your day today. Did you wake up with intention, or did you immediately grab your phone and scroll through social media? Did you take a moment to check in with yourself, or did you rush into the chaos without a single conscious thought? These small moments reveal everything. They show whether you are living deliberately or just reacting to whatever comes your way. Self-awareness begins the moment you wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, before you check your messages, before you let the world dictate your mood, you have a choice. You can take 60 seconds to simply breathe and ask yourself 3 questions. How do I feel right now? What do I need today? What kind of person do I want to be today? These questions sound simple, but they are revolutionary. They shift you from passive observer to active participant in your own life. Most people avoid self-awareness because it requires honesty. Brutal honesty. It means admitting that you procrastinate not because you lack time, but because you fear failure. It means recognizing that you stay in toxic relationships not because you are loyal, but because you are afraid of being alone. It means acknowledging that you complain about your job but refuse to take steps towards something better because comfort feels safer than change. This honesty hurts. It should. Growth always begins with discomfort. But on the other side of that discomfort lies freedom. When you stop lying to yourself about why you do what you do, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the architect of your life. Start paying attention to your automatic thoughts. Throughout your day, your mind generates thousands of thoughts. Most of them run in the background like programs on a computer. These thoughts shape your beliefs, which shape your actions, which shape your results. If you want different results, You must become aware of these thoughts. Notice when you think thoughts like, "I am not good enough," or "I always mess things up," or "things never work out for me." These are not facts. They are stories. Stories you have been telling yourself for so long that they feel true. But just because you think something does not make it real. Self-awareness gives you the power to catch these thoughts, examine them, and choose different ones. Keep a small notebook with you, or use your phone to track your thoughts for one full day. Every time you notice a negative or limiting thought, write it down. Do not judge it. Do not try to change it yet. Just observe. By the end of the day, you will have a clear picture of the mental patterns running your life. Some people discover they criticize themselves dozens of times per day. Others realize they spend hours worrying about things outside their control. This awareness is your starting point. Self-awareness also means understanding your emotional triggers. Everyone has situations or people that provoke strong reactions. Maybe someone questions your work and you become defensive. Maybe plans change unexpectedly and you feel anxious. Maybe someone succeeds in an area where you struggle and you feel jealous. These reactions are clues. They point to deeper beliefs and unresolved issues. Instead of suppressing these emotions or acting on them impulsively, pause. Create space between the trigger and your response. Ask yourself what this reaction reveals. If criticism makes you defensive, perhaps you tie your worth to being right. If change makes you anxious, perhaps you crave control because uncertainty feels dangerous. If others' success triggers jealousy, perhaps you believe success is limited and their win means your loss. These insights are gold. They show you exactly where you need to grow. The goal is not to eliminate emotional reactions. You are human. The goal is to understand them so they inform you rather than control you. When you know your triggers, you can prepare for them. You can choose how you respond instead of being hijacked by unconscious patterns. Your behavior patterns also deserve examination. How do you respond to stress? Do you overeat, overwork, or withdraw? How do you handle conflict? Do you fight, flee, or freeze? How do you celebrate wins? Do you acknowledge them or immediately move to the next goal without pause? These patterns formed early in life as survival mechanisms. They served you once. But many patterns that protected you as a child now limit you as an adult. Watch yourself like a scientist studying a fascinating subject. When stress hits, observe what you do. When someone disappoints you, notice your reaction. When you achieve something, pay attention to how you process it. This observation without judgment creates distance between you and your patterns. That distance is freedom. It allows you to ask whether this pattern serves your current goals or works against them. Self-awareness extends to how you spend your time and energy. Track your activities for 3 days. Write down everything you do and how long you spend doing it. Be honest. Include scrolling social media, watching television, worrying about things you cannot control, and engaging in conversations that drain you. Then review your list and ask yourself whether these activities align with the person you want to become. Most people discover massive gaps between their stated priorities and their actual behavior. They say family matters most but work 70 hours per week. They say health is important but skip exercise and eat poorly. They say they want to learn and grow but spend 3 hours per night on entertainment. Self-awareness closes these gaps by revealing the truth. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Your relationships also reflect your level of self-awareness. Notice the people you surround yourself with. Do they inspire you to grow or encourage you to stay comfortable? Do they challenge your thinking or echo your existing beliefs? Do they celebrate your wins or subtly undermine your progress? The company you keep either elevates you or holds you back. If you find yourself consistently drained, frustrated, or smaller around certain people, self-awareness demands you examine why you maintain those connections. Equally important is recognizing the role you play in your relationships. Are you the victim who always has problems but rejects solutions? Are you the rescuer who fixes everyone else to avoid your own issues? Are you the critic who points out flaws but offers no support? These roles feel comfortable because they are familiar. Self-awareness helps you see them, so you can choose different ways of relating. Daily self-awareness requires consistent practice. It is not something you do once and check off your list. It is a lifelong commitment to knowing yourself more deeply with each passing day. The good news is that it becomes easier. The more you practice observing yourself, the more natural it feels. The insights start flowing more freely. The changes start happening more quickly. Create a daily self-awareness ritual. This does not require hours. 15 minutes is enough if you use them well. Find a quiet space where you will not be interrupted. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Take several deep breaths to settle your mind. Then ask yourself these questions. What did I do well today? Where did I struggle? What triggered strong emotions? What patterns did I notice? What will I do differently tomorrow? Write your answers. The act of writing deepens the insight and creates accountability. Some people resist this practice because they fear what they will find. They worry that self-awareness will reveal weaknesses or failures. But here is what actually happens. Self-awareness reveals your humanity. It shows you are not perfect and never will be. It shows you have blind spots, just like everyone else. And paradoxically, this acceptance of imperfection frees you to grow. When you stop pretending to have it all together, you can focus energy on actual improvement instead of image management. Self-awareness also reveals your strengths. Many people downplay their talents or dismiss their accomplishments. They focus obsessively on what they lack while ignoring what they possess. Daily self-awareness helps you recognize what you do well, what comes naturally, and what lights you up. This knowledge allows you to build your life around your strengths instead of constantly trying to fix your weaknesses. The ancient philosophers understood this deeply. They taught that knowing yourself is the foundation of wisdom. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. Marcus Aurelius filled journals with honest reflections about his thoughts, emotions, and actions. These were not men who achieved perfection. They were men who committed to understanding themselves so they could live with intention. You have the same opportunity. Every morning when you wake, you get to choose awareness over autopilot. Every moment presents a chance to observe yourself without judgment. Every evening offers space to reflect on what you learned. These small acts compound over time into profound transformation. Your hidden potential is not hiding in some distant future. It is not locked away waiting for perfect circumstances. It is here right now, obscured only by lack of awareness. The moment you commit to seeing yourself clearly, that potential begins to emerge. It shows up in better decisions, in stronger relationships, in increased resilience, in deeper peace. This is not easy work. Self-awareness asks you to face truths you might prefer to ignore. It requires you to take responsibility instead of blaming others. It demands consistency when motivation fades, but nothing worthwhile comes easily. The question is whether you want to truly live or merely exist. Whether you want to design your life or let it happen to you. Whether you want to discover what you are capable of or wonder about it forever. You already know the answer. Something inside you recognizes the truth in these words. That something is your potential calling you forward. Answer that call. Start today. Start now. Take 60 seconds to check in with yourself. Notice what you feel. Observe what you think. Pay attention to what you do. These simple acts of awareness are the first steps toward becoming the person you were meant to be. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but that step must be taken with eyes wide open. Wake up, see yourself, know yourself. This is where ultimate self-leadership begins. This is where you reclaim your power and design a life that reflects your highest potential. Not someday, today, right now. Through the simple yet profound practice of daily self-awareness. Chapter 20. Master your morning routine for unstoppable daily momentum. The first hour of your day determines the next 23. This is not motivational fluff. This is reality. How you begin shapes everything that follows. Win the morning and you win the day. Lose the morning and you spend the rest of your hours playing catch-up, reacting to circumstances, and wondering why you feel so drained. Most people surrender their mornings to chaos. The alarm screams. They hit snooze 3 times. They finally drag themselves out of bed already running late. They grab their phone and immediately dive into emails, messages, and news. Within minutes, their nervous system is flooded with stress hormones. Their mind races with other people's demands. Their energy drains before they even leave the house. Then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed by 10 in the morning. This pattern destroys momentum before you have a chance to build it. Momentum is the secret weapon of high achievers. It is the invisible force that makes difficult tasks feel easier. When you have momentum, work flows. Ideas come naturally. Obstacles seem smaller, but momentum must be created intentionally. It does not happen by accident. It starts with how you design your morning. Your morning routine is not about cramming more activities into your schedule. It is about claiming sacred time for yourself before the world makes its demands. It is about filling your own cup so you have something to pour into your day. It is about establishing a foundation of strength, clarity, and purpose that carries you forward no matter what challenges arise. Think of your morning routine as a launch pad. Rockets need precise conditions and careful preparation to achieve liftoff. Skip critical steps and the mission fails. Your day operates the same way. The rituals you perform in those early hours create the conditions for success. They prime your mind, energize your body, and align your spirit with your goals. The most powerful morning routines share common elements. They wake the body. They focus the mind. They nourish the spirit. They create space for intention before action. You do not need exotic practices or complicated systems. You need consistency applied to foundational habits that compound over time. Start with your wake-up time. Successful people wake early not because they hate sleep, but because they value control. The early morning hours belong to you. No meetings, no interruptions, no emergencies. Just quiet space where you can think, plan, and prepare. Aim to wake at the same time every day, including weekends. Your body craves rhythm. Consistent wake times regulate your circadian rhythm, improve sleep quality, and make mornings feel less brutal. Set your alarm across the room. This forces you to stand up to turn it off. Once you are standing, you are halfway to winning. Do not negotiate with yourself about staying in bed. The moment you open your eyes, swing your feet to the floor. Hesitation kills momentum. Action builds it. Immediately drink water. Your body loses moisture during sleep through breathing and perspiration. You wake dehydrated whether you feel it or not. Keep a large glass of water by your bed. Drink it before you do anything else. This simple act jumpstarts your metabolism, flushes toxins, and wakes your organs. Add lemon if you want extra benefits. Skip the coffee for at least 30 minutes. Let your body wake naturally before you introduce stimulants. Move your body next. Exercise in the morning transforms your entire day. It floods your brain with endorphins and neurotransmitters that elevate mood and sharpen focus. It boosts energy levels for hours. It signals to your nervous system that you are strong and capable. You do not need a gym membership or fancy equipment. 20 minutes of intentional movement makes a profound difference. Choose activities you actually enjoy. Hate running, do not run. Prefer dancing? Turn on music and move. Like yoga, roll out your mat. Enjoy strength training. Do bodyweight exercises. The specific activity matters less than the consistency. Your goal is to elevate your heart rate, activate your muscles, and get blood flowing to your brain. Some of the most successful people swear by morning workouts. They report making better decisions, handling stress more effectively, and maintaining higher energy throughout their days. Exercise is not optional for peak performance. It is foundational. Treat it as seriously as brushing your teeth. After movement, take a cold shower. This practice separates those who talk about growth from those who live it. Cold water shocks your system awake. It trains your mind to embrace discomfort voluntarily. It strengthens your willpower. It reduces inflammation and speeds recovery. Most importantly, it teaches you that you can do hard things. If you can stand under cold water for 2 minutes, you can handle whatever your day throws at you. Start with warm water if you must. Then gradually turn it colder for the last 30 seconds. Add 10 seconds each day until you can handle 2 full minutes of cold. The mental battle happens before you turn the knob. Your mind screams reasons to stay comfortable. Ignore it. Step into the cold. Breathe through the initial shock. Within seconds, your body adapts. This daily practice builds the discipline that separates achievers from dreamers. Feed your mind before you feed your body. Breakfast can wait. Your first mental input should be intentional, not accidental. Do not check your phone. Do not turn on the news. Do not scroll social media. These activities hand control of your mindset to external forces. Instead, consume content that elevates and educates. Read for 20 minutes. Choose books that challenge your thinking or teach valuable skills. Biography, philosophy, psychology, business strategy, or personal development or work. Avoid fiction in the morning. Save entertainment for evening when relaxation is the goal. Morning reading should sharpen your mind and expand your perspective. If reading feels difficult, listen to audiobooks or podcasts while you exercise or prepare breakfast. The specific medium matters less than the quality of content entering your mind. Guard your mental gates fiercely. What goes in comes out. Fill your mind with wisdom and you will act with wisdom. Meditation or prayer comes next. This practice grounds you in the present moment. It creates mental clarity. It reduces anxiety about the future and regret about the past. It connects you to something larger than yourself. Whether you approach this from a spiritual or secular perspective, the benefits are undeniable. Sit comfortably in a quiet space. Close your eyes. Focus on your breath. When thoughts arise, and they will, acknowledge them without judgment and return to your breath. Start with 5 minutes. Gradually extend to 10 or 15 as the practice becomes easier. This is not about achieving perfect stillness. It is about training your mind to focus and return when it wanders. That skill transfers to every area of your life. Right after you meditate, journaling crystallizes thoughts and intentions. It processes emotions. It tracks progress. It reveals patterns you might otherwise miss. Keep your journal simple. Write 3 things you are grateful for. Write your top 3 priorities for the day. Write 1 thing you learned recently. This takes 5 minutes and provides clarity that lasts all day. Some people prefer stream of consciousness writing, where they fill 3 pages with whatever comes to mind. This technique clears mental clutter and often surfaces surprising insights. Others prefer structured prompts. Experiment to find what serves you best. The critical element is consistency, not perfection. Fuel your body with intention. Breakfast should provide sustained energy without causing crashes. Avoid sugar and refined carbohydrates that spike blood glucose and leave you exhausted by mid-morning. Choose protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. Eggs, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, nuts, fruits, and vegetables all work well. Prepare breakfast while listening to something educational. This doubles your productivity and fills time that might otherwise be wasted. Review your goals before you start work. This keeps your big picture vision front of mind. Write your top goal on a card and read it aloud each morning. Visualize yourself achieving it. Feel the emotions of success. This practice programs your subconscious mind to spot opportunities and make decisions aligned with your objectives. Plan your day with precision. Identify your most important task. Schedule it first when your energy and focus peak. Protect this time ruthlessly. Block it on your calendar. Silence notifications. Close your door. This one task done well will make your entire day successful even if nothing else gets completed. Your morning routine should take 60 to 90 minutes depending on which elements you include. This investment pays massive returns. The discipline required to maintain your routine builds character. The consistency creates momentum. The practices themselves elevate your physical, mental, and emotional state. Obstacles will arise. You will have late nights. You will travel. You will face emergencies. Do not let imperfect circumstances destroy your routine entirely. Have a shortened version for difficult days. Maybe you only have 20 minutes. Use them wisely. Drink water, move briefly, and review your priorities. Something is always better than nothing. Consistency matters more than duration. Track your routine for 30 days. Check off each completed morning. This visual progress motivates continuation. After 30 days, your routine will feel natural. After 90 days, it will feel essential. After 6 months, you will not recognize the person you used to be. Your morning routine is your daily rebellion against mediocrity. It declares that you control your life instead of being controlled by circumstances. It proves through action that you value growth over comfort. It builds the foundation for everything you want to achieve. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. Tomorrow morning is your opportunity. Set your alarm. Place water by your bed. Lay out workout clothes. Choose your reading material. Prepare everything tonight so execution requires minimal willpower tomorrow. Then wake up and do it. One day at a time. One choice at a time. One morning at a time. Momentum builds from these small repeated actions. Master your morning and you master your life. Chapter 3: Build unshakable mental resilience during life's toughest moments. Life will break you. Not maybe. Not possibly. It will. Everyone faces moments when everything falls apart, when the job disappears, when the relationship ends, when the diagnosis comes, when the dream dies, when the person you love most walks away or worse, never comes back. These moments arrive without warning and without mercy. They shatter your plans, test your strength, and reveal who you truly are beneath the surface. Mental resilience is not about avoiding these moments. That is impossible. Resilience is about how you respond when they arrive. It is about standing back up when life knocks you flat. It is about finding strength you did not know existed. It is about choosing to move forward when every fiber of your being wants to quit. This is not natural talent. This is a skill you build through deliberate practice before crisis strikes. Understand that pain is universal, but suffering is optional. Pain happens to you. Suffering is what you add through your interpretation of events. Someone loses their job. That is pain. But then they tell themselves they are worthless, that they will never find anything better, that this proves they are a failure. That is suffering. The event hurt them once. Their thoughts hurt them 1,000 times more. Resilient people feel pain just as deeply as anyone else. They grieve losses. They experience disappointment. They know fear and doubt. The difference is they do not add layers of meaning that amplify the hurt. They see circumstances as circumstances, not as evidence of cosmic punishment or personal deficiency. This shift in perspective changes everything. Build resilience by accepting what you cannot control. Most of your stress comes from fighting reality. You want things to be different than they are. You replay past events wishing they had unfolded another way. You worry about future scenarios you cannot influence. This mental struggle exhausts you while changing nothing. Reality does not bend to your preferences. It simply is. Practice radical acceptance. This does not mean liking your circumstances or giving up on improvement. It means acknowledging what is actually happening right now without resistance. Your business failed. That is reality. Fighting that fact drains energy you need for recovery. Accept it fully. Feel the disappointment. Then ask what comes next. Acceptance frees energy for action. Separate facts from stories. When something difficult happens, your mind immediately creates narratives. These stories feel true, but they are interpretations, not objective reality. Someone criticizes your work. The fact is they expressed disagreement. The story is they hate you, you are incompetent, everyone thinks you are terrible. See the difference? The fact is small and manageable. The story is catastrophic and crushing. Challenge your stories by asking for evidence. What proof exists that everyone thinks you are terrible? Usually none. You made it up based on one person's comment. This does not mean the criticism is wrong or that improvement is unnecessary. It means you do not have to carry the weight of fictional narratives on top of actual challenges. Reframe obstacles as opportunities for growth. Every difficulty contains hidden gifts if you look for them. Losing a job forces you to explore new paths. Ending a relationship teaches you what you truly need. Health challenges make you appreciate what you took for granted. Failure reveals weaknesses you can now strengthen. This is not toxic positivity that dismisses real pain. This is mature wisdom that extracts value from hardship. Ask yourself what this situation is teaching you. What skills are you developing? What illusions are being shattered? What truth are you finally seeing? These questions redirect your mind from victim to student. Students learn, victims suffer. You choose which role you play. Build your support network before you need it. Resilience is not achieved alone. Humans are tribal creatures designed for connection. When crisis hits, you need people who believe in you when you stop believing in yourself. You need perspectives outside your own spiraling thoughts. You need practical help with tasks that feel overwhelming. Invest in relationships consistently. Show up for others during their struggles. Offer support without waiting to be asked. Listen without judgment. These deposits into the relationship bank can be withdrawn when you face your own battles. But choose your circle carefully. Surround yourself with people who respond to difficulty with courage rather than panic, with solutions rather than complaints, with hope rather than cynicism. Develop a practice of facing small discomforts daily. Resilience is a muscle. Muscles grow through progressive resistance. If you never challenge yourself, you remain weak. Seek out uncomfortable situations while stakes are low. Have difficult conversations. Try activities that scare you slightly. Take cold showers. Fast occasionally. Exercise past the point of comfort. These voluntary hardships train your nervous system to handle involuntary ones. Your brain cannot distinguish between physical and emotional discomfort at a neurological level. When you prove you can endure cold water, you build neural pathways that activate during emotional stress. When you push through a challenging workout, you teach yourself that discomfort is survivable. These experiences become reference points during genuine crisis. Maintain your health foundation during stress. When life gets hard, people abandon the basics. They stop exercising. They eat poorly. They skip sleep. They isolate. These choices make everything worse. Your body and mind are connected. Physical neglect creates mental fragility. Mental stress damages physical health. The spiral feeds itself. Protect your non-negotiables even when you want to skip them. Especially when you want to skip them, move your body every single day. Eat foods that nourish rather than numb. Maintain consistent sleep schedules. These practices provide stability when everything else feels chaotic. They give you control over something when so much feels uncontrollable. Limit your exposure to negative inputs during vulnerable periods. When you are already struggling, additional bad news becomes unbearable. The world always has problems. Wars, disasters, injustice, suffering. These realities exist whether you consume every detail or not. During crisis, you need your mental resources for your own recovery. Give yourself permission to unplug. Stop watching news. Avoid doom scrolling. Choose carefully what you allow into your consciousness. Practice perspective regularly. Step back and view your situation from altitude. In 5 years, will this matter? In 10 years, will you even remember the details? Most things that feel enormous in the moment shrink dramatically with time. This is not minimizing your pain. This is recognizing that your current suffering will pass. It always does. Nothing stays the same forever, including your worst moments. Study people who overcame adversity greater than yours. Read biographies of those who survived concentration camps, devastating losses, complete failures before eventual success. Their stories prove that humans can endure almost anything. If they survived that, you can survive this, not because your pain is less valid, but because human resilience has nearly limitless capacity when activated. Create meaning from your struggles. The experiences that hurt you most can become your greatest teachers. Many therapists entered the field after their own mental health battles. Cancer survivors often become advocates. Bankruptcy leads people to financial education businesses. Divorce teaches lessons that strengthen second marriages. Your pain has purpose if you choose to find it. Ask how this experience can serve others. How can your struggle help someone else facing similar challenges? What wisdom are you gaining that deserves sharing? This transforms you from victim to guide. It adds meaning to suffering. Meaningless pain is unbearable. Pain with purpose becomes fuel for mission. Develop a resilience ritual for moments when you feel overwhelmed. Create a specific sequence of actions you take when panic rises. Maybe you step outside and take 10 deep breaths. Maybe you call a specific friend. Maybe you write your feelings without filter for 5 minutes. Maybe you listen to a particular song. The specific actions matter less than having a reliable process. When your thinking brain shuts down, your ritual brain can take over. Remember that feelings are not facts. You can feel hopeless while hope still exists. You can feel like quitting while success remains possible. You can feel alone while people care deeply. Emotions are signals, not truths. They provide information about your internal state, but they do not dictate reality. Acknowledge them. Feel them fully. Then act based on truth rather than emotion. Resilience requires time. Healing is not linear. Some days you feel strong. Other days the same wound reopens. This is normal. You are not failing or going backward. You are processing complex experiences that take time to integrate. Be patient with yourself. Extend the same compassion you would offer a dear friend struggling with similar challenges. Celebrate small wins during difficult seasons. Getting out of bed counts. Taking a shower counts. Eating a meal counts. Making one phone call counts. During crisis, normal tasks become victories. Acknowledge them. Write them down. Let them remind you that you are still moving forward even when progress feels invisible. Keep records of past resilience. Write about previous difficulties you survived. Detail what you felt, what you did, and how you emerged. During new challenges, review these records. They prove you have overcome before. They show patterns in how you recover. They remind you that this too shall pass because everything always has. Your toughest moments do not define you. How you respond to them does. Resilience is not about being unbreakable. It is about breaking and reassembling yourself into something stronger than before. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, making the cracks part of the beauty. Your cracks can become your most powerful features if you choose to see them that way. Build your resilience now so when life demands it, you have reserves to draw upon. Chapter 40. Transform negative thoughts into powerful personal growth fuel. Your mind is not your friend. Not always. Sometimes it lies to you. It exaggerates dangers. It replays embarrassing moments on endless loops. It predicts catastrophes that never happen. It whispers that you are not enough, that you will fail, that others judge you harshly. These negative thoughts feel true. They sound like your authentic voice. But they are just mental noise, patterns formed through years of conditioning, fear, and misunderstanding. Most people treat negative thoughts as facts requiring acceptance. They believe what their mind tells them without question. This is a fundamental mistake. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. They are possibilities, not certainties. They are weather patterns moving through your consciousness, temporary and changeable. Once you understand this, everything shifts. Negative thoughts stop being obstacles and become raw material for transformation. Every negative thought contains energy. This energy typically gets wasted through worry, rumination, or self-criticism. But energy is neutral. It can be redirected. The same mental fuel that powers anxiety can power achievement. The key is learning to harvest that energy and channel it toward productive ends. This is alchemy. Turning mental lead into gold. Start by recognizing that negative thoughts often signal areas needing attention. When your mind says you are unprepared for a presentation, maybe you actually need more practice. When it whispers you are disconnected from friends, perhaps you have been neglecting relationships. When it insists you are unhealthy, your body might be sending legitimate signals. Not all negative thoughts are false alarms. Some point toward genuine issues requiring action. The question is whether the thought leads to paralysis or progress. Productive negative thoughts motivate action. Destructive negative thoughts create helplessness. Learn to distinguish between them. If thinking about your weight makes you plan better meals and schedule workouts, that thought serves you. If it makes you hate yourself and eat more emotionally, it does not. Same content, different impact. Transform destructive thoughts by asking what they want you to do. Your mind produces negativity because it thinks this helps somehow. Maybe it believes criticism will motivate you. Maybe it thinks worry will prepare you. Maybe it assumes if you imagine the worst, reality will hurt less. These strategies are misguided but well-intentioned. Your mind is trying to protect you, just doing it badly. Thank your mind for trying to help. This sounds absurd, but it works. When the thought comes that you will embarrass yourself, respond internally with appreciation. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I understand you are worried. Now here is what we are actually going to do. This shifts the relationship from you versus your thoughts to you and your thoughts working together. Interrogate thoughts that claim to predict the future. Your mind loves fortune-telling. It insists it knows what will happen, how others will react, what outcomes await. But it does not. Nobody does. The future has not occurred yet. It remains open, filled with possibilities your imagination cannot foresee. When your mind says you will definitely fail, ask for proof. How does it know? What evidence supports this prediction? Usually none exists. Replace predictions with preferences. Instead of telling yourself you will fail, acknowledge you prefer to succeed. Instead of insisting nobody will like you, admit you hope for connection. This subtle shift removes the false certainty while honoring your desires. Preferences leave room for surprise. Predictions close doors before you reach them. Notice the language your negative thoughts use. They love absolutes. Always, never. Everyone, nobody, everything, nothing. These words allow no exceptions or nuance. They create rigid, distorted views of reality. When you catch yourself thinking in absolutes, soften them. Replace always with sometimes. Replace never with rarely. Replace everyone with some people. This simple edit makes thoughts more accurate and less overwhelming. Counter negative thoughts with evidence from your life. Your mind says you always fail. Pull up memories of times you succeeded. Your mind insists nobody likes you. Remember people who showed you kindness. Your mind claims you are weak. Recall moments you displayed strength. This is not denial of problems. This is balancing the narrative with facts your negative bias ignores. Write opposing thoughts down. Something about physically writing activates different neural pathways than just thinking. When a negative thought loops, grab paper and write both the thought and its opposite. I am going to fail this test. I have prepared well and might succeed. Writing the alternative makes it real, gives it weight, plants it in your consciousness alongside the negative version. Use negative thoughts as motivation rather than chains. Someone doubts your abilities. Good. Prove them wrong. You fear you are falling behind. Excellent. Work harder. You worry your skills are inadequate. Perfect. Time to learn more. This mental judo takes the energy of negativity and redirects it toward improvement. The same thought that could crush you becomes fuel propelling you forward. Examine whose voice your negative thoughts carry. Often that critical inner voice belongs to someone else, a harsh parent, a cruel teacher, a jealous friend, a toxic partner. Their words embedded themselves so deeply you forgot they came from outside. Once you identify the original source, you can reject it. That is not my voice. That is my father's disapproval. I am not required to believe it. Create a personal truth statement that counters your most persistent negative thoughts. Write 3 to 5 sentences describing your actual capabilities, worth, and potential. Read this statement daily until you believe it. When negative thoughts attack, recite your truth statement. Over time, it overwrites the old programming. Your brain forms new pathways that support rather than sabotage you. Track your negative thoughts for patterns. Do they intensify when you are tired? When you are hungry? After scrolling social media? During certain times of day? Identifying triggers gives you power. You can avoid triggers when possible or prepare for them when unavoidable. Awareness breaks the automatic response cycle. Exercise intensely when negative thoughts overwhelm you. Physical exertion burns stress hormones and releases endorphins that naturally elevate mood. The negative thoughts often disappear not through mental effort but through changing your physical state. Your mind and body are one system. Change one and the other follows. Find evidence that contradicts your negative assumptions. Your mind says you are boring. Go talk to someone and notice if they seem interested. Your mind claims your work is terrible. Show it to a trusted mentor and get honest feedback. Your mind insists you cannot learn new skills. Take a class and document your progress. Real-world experiences defeat mental fiction. Rewrite your negative thoughts as questions instead of statements. You are going to fail becomes am I going to fail? This opens space for inquiry. Maybe. Maybe not. What can I do to increase my chances of success? Questions engage problem solving. Statements shut it down. Your brain responds differently to questions. It searches for answers rather than accepting pronouncements. Understand that your negative thoughts protect an outdated identity. You built a self-concept years ago based on limited information and past experiences. Negative thoughts maintain that old identity even when you have outgrown it. They say you are shy because you were shy at 12. They say you are bad at math because you struggled in 9th grade. They say you are unlovable because someone left you once. These thoughts resist updating based on who you are now. Choose to update your self-concept consciously. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. You have grown, learned, changed. Your thoughts need to catch up. Every time you accomplish something your old identity said was impossible, you prove the negative thoughts wrong. Collect this evidence. Use it to build a new self-concept that reflects current reality. Share your negative thoughts with trusted people. Saying them out loud often reveals their absurdity. When you tell someone you are considering skipping an opportunity because you are convinced everyone will judge you harshly, they can offer perspective. They might point out times you succeeded in similar situations. They might reveal they have similar fears. Speaking thoughts removes their power and invites support. Treat negative thoughts as a gym for your mental strength. Every time one appears and you choose a better response, you build psychological muscle. The thoughts do not disappear overnight. They may never fully vanish, but your relationship with them transforms. They become less like dictators and more like annoying background noise you barely notice. Use meditation to observe thoughts without attachment. Sit quietly and watch your thoughts arise and pass like clouds moving across sky. Notice negative ones appear, acknowledge them, then let them drift away without grabbing hold. This practice teaches you that thoughts are temporary phenomena, not permanent truths. You are the sky, not the clouds. Negative thoughts lose power when you refuse to argue with them. Do not debate their validity. Do not try to convince yourself they are wrong. Just notice them and redirect attention. Oh, there is that thought again. Now what action moves me toward my goals? This dismissal without engagement starves thoughts of the attention they need to grow. Fill your mind with better inputs. If you consume content that reinforces negative patterns, you strengthen them. Choose books, podcasts, videos, and conversations that challenge limiting beliefs and present expansive possibilities. Your thoughts reflect what you consume. Change your mental diet and your thoughts will follow. Remember that growth requires discomfort. Negative thoughts often appear precisely when you are pushing beyond old limits. They are alarm bells warning you that change is happening. This means they can serve as confirmation you are moving in the right direction. When negative thoughts intensify around a goal, it often signals that goal matters deeply and threatens your comfort zone. Do not retreat. Advance despite the noise. Your negative thoughts are not your enemy. They are misguided attempts at protection. Transform them by understanding their purpose, questioning their accuracy, harvesting their energy, and choosing better interpretations. This skill changes everything because thoughts shape actions and actions shape destiny. Master your mind, and you master your life. Chapter 50. Create clear life goals that ignite your purpose. Most people drift through life without destination. They wake up, go through motions, and wonder why they feel empty. They achieve things that looked good on paper, but feel hollow in reality. They chase goals others picked for them. They climb ladders leaning against the wrong walls. Then one day they look back and realize they built someone else's dream while their own died of neglect. Goals without genuine purpose are sophisticated forms of distraction. They keep you busy but not fulfilled. They create the illusion of progress while you circle the same spot. True goals emerge from deep understanding of what actually matters to you, not what should matter according to parents, society, or Instagram. This requires brutal honesty about who you are and what you want from your brief time on Earth. Stop chasing goals because they sound impressive. Nobody cares about your accomplishments as much as you think. That fancy title, expensive car, or big house matters far less to others than it does to your ego. People are too busy worrying about their own lives to obsess over yours. This is liberating. It means you can stop performing and start living according to your authentic values. Begin by identifying your core values. These are principles you refuse to compromise regardless of circumstances. Values are not goals. Goals are destinations. Values are directions. You achieve goals, then need new ones. You live values continuously. Someone might value integrity, creativity, health, adventure, or service. These values should guide goal selection. Any goal that conflicts with your core values will feel wrong even when achieved. Write down 10 things you value most. Then force yourself to cut the list to 5. Then to 3. This elimination process reveals what truly matters versus what sounds good. You cannot prioritize everything. Priorities by definition require choosing some things over others. The word priority was singular for 500 years before people started butchering it into plurals. You can have one priority at a time, not 17. Ask yourself what you would do if money became irrelevant tomorrow. If all your bills were paid forever, how would you spend your time? Most people discover their current goals have nothing to do with this answer. They are grinding toward financial freedom while ignoring what they would actually do with that freedom. This is backwards. Figure out what you want your life to look like, then build goals that create that life. Consider what you want people to say at your funeral. This morbid exercise clarifies what matters. Do you want them to remember how much you worked, how much you owned? Or do you want them to remember how you made them feel, what you stood for, the difference you made? Your goals should align with the legacy you want to leave. Everything else is noise. Define success for yourself instead of accepting default definitions. Society says success means wealth, status, and recognition. Maybe your success looks completely different. Maybe it means strong relationships, creative expression, or quiet contentment. Maybe it means freedom to travel, time for hobbies, or making a specific impact. There is no universal measure. Only you can determine what constitutes a successful life for you. Create goals across multiple life domains. Humans need balance. Focusing exclusively on career while ignoring health, relationships, and personal growth creates a lopsided existence. Identify goals for physical health, mental well-being, relationships, career, finances, personal development, and contribution. This ensures you develop as a complete person rather than excelling in one area while neglecting others. Make your goals specific and measurable. Vague wishes are not goals. I want to be healthy is a wish. I will exercise 4 times per week and eat vegetables with every meal is a goal. The first provides no direction. The second tells you exactly what to do. Specificity removes ambiguity and creates accountability. You either did it or you did not. No room for self-deception. Attach deadlines to your goals. Someday is not a timeline. It is a fantasy. Goals without deadlines are dreams you never get around to pursuing. Deadlines create urgency. They force prioritization. They prevent endless preparation that masks fear of actually starting. Set realistic timeframes, but make them tight enough to feel pressure. Pressure creates diamonds. Break large goals into smaller milestones. Losing 50 pounds feels overwhelming. Losing 2 pounds this week feels achievable. Writing a book seems impossible. Writing 500 words today is simple. Your brain responds better to proximate challenges than distant ones. Create a chain of small wins that leads to big outcomes. Each small victory builds momentum and confidence for the next step. Write your goals by hand on paper. There is neurological magic in the physical act of writing. It engages your brain differently than typing. It creates stronger memory encoding. It makes the goal feel more real, more committed. Keep your written goals visible. Put them on your bathroom mirror, in your car, on your desk. Constant visibility keeps them front of mind when daily chaos threatens to derail focus. Visualize your goals achieved. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living the reality you are working toward. See specific details. Feel the emotions of success. Hear sounds associated with achievement. Engage all senses in the visualization. This is not woo-woo nonsense. Your brain cannot fully distinguish between vivid imagination and actual experience. Visualization primes neural pathways that support goal achievement. Identify obstacles between your current state and your goals. What will try to stop you? Time constraints, financial limitations, skill gaps, fear, lack of support. Naming obstacles allows you to plan around them. Most people get blindsided by predictable challenges. You can see them coming. When you do, they lose power. You prepared. You have strategies ready. Determine what you must sacrifice to achieve your goals. Every yes to something is a no to something else. You cannot binge television and also build a business. You cannot eat junk food and also get fit. You cannot maintain toxic friendships and also grow mentally. What are you willing to give up? If the answer is nothing, you do not really want the goal. Real desire accepts sacrifice without resentment. Share your goals selectively. Tell people who will support and challenge you. Avoid people who will discourage or mock you. Some individuals feel threatened by others' growth. They will subtly undermine your efforts to keep you at their level. This is not malicious usually, just human nature. Protect your goals from negative influences during vulnerable early stages when commitment is fragile. Review your goals regularly. What made sense 6 months ago might not fit your current situation. Life changes. You change. Goals should evolve too. Review quarterly at minimum. Ask whether each goal still aligns with your values and vision. Drop goals that no longer serve you without guilt. Clinging to outdated goals wastes energy better spent elsewhere. Connect daily actions to long-term goals. This bridges the gap between present and future. When you choose salad over pizza, remember the health goal. When you study instead of scroll, remember the career goal. When you call a friend instead of isolate, remember the relationship goal. Seeing how small choices compound into big outcomes makes those choices easier. Celebrate progress without waiting for completion. If your goal takes 5 years, you need wins along the way to maintain motivation. Acknowledge milestones. Reward yourself appropriately. Completed 1 month of consistent exercise. Enjoy a massage. Finished a course. Take yourself to dinner. These celebrations reinforce positive behaviors and make the journey enjoyable rather than pure suffering. Accept that achieving goals rarely follows straight lines. You will have setbacks. You will get off track. You will question whether the goal is worth the effort. This is normal. Everyone experiences it. What separates achievers from dreamers is getting back on track quickly after falling off. Do not waste time on guilt or self-criticism. Just resume the process. Surround yourself with people pursuing similar goals. Their example normalizes your efforts. Their struggles remind you that difficulty is universal, not evidence of your inadequacy. Their successes prove what is possible. Find communities, online or local, focused on your areas of growth. The collective energy and shared knowledge accelerates individual progress. Track your progress visibly. Use a journal, app, or simple calendar to mark completed actions. Seeing a string of successful days motivates continuation. Breaking the streak feels painful, which keeps you consistent. Athletes track workouts. Writers track word counts. Business builders track revenue. You need concrete evidence of forward movement, especially when feelings suggest you are stuck. Understand that achieving goals will not fix internal problems. That degree will not cure insecurity. That relationship will not eliminate loneliness. That income level will not create happiness. Goals improve external circumstances. They do not heal internal wounds. Pursue goals from a place of wholeness, not from desperate hope they will make you complete. Completeness is an inside job. Design goals that excite you more than they scare you. Fear will always be present when you pursue meaningful targets. But excitement should be stronger. If a goal fills you with pure dread and no enthusiasm, reconsider it. Maybe it is someone else's goal that you adopted. Maybe it conflicts with your actual preferences. Maybe the timing is wrong. Goals should pull you forward with magnetic force despite difficulty. Remember that the quality of your goals determines the quality of your life. Mediocre goals create mediocre existence. Inspiring goals create inspiring lives. You become what you consistently work toward. Choose carefully. Choose authentically. Choose goals that reflect your deepest values and highest vision for yourself. Then commit fully to their pursuit. This is how you transform from someone who exists into someone who truly lives with purpose and direction. Chapter 6: Eliminate toxic habits that sabotage your success daily. You are losing the war one tiny battle at a time. Not through dramatic failures or catastrophic mistakes. Through small habits you barely notice. That extra hour on social media. That complaining session disguised as conversation. That midnight snack when you are not hungry. That passive-aggressive comment instead of honest communication. These micro-choices seem insignificant in isolation. Compound them over months and years and they shape your entire existence. Toxic habits are silent assassins. They kill dreams slowly so you do not realize what happened until years have passed. You wonder why you never achieved what you wanted. Why you feel stuck. Why others advance while you spin wheels. The answer lies in those daily patterns you stopped questioning because they became automatic. Your habits either build the life you want or destroy it piece by piece. No neutral ground exists. Recognize that all habits serve a function. Your brain created them to solve problems. Scrolling social media provides instant dopamine when you feel bored or anxious. Complaining bonds you with others through shared negativity. Eating junk food soothes emotional discomfort. Procrastinating protects you from potential failure. These solutions worked once. Now they create bigger problems than they solve, but your brain clings to them because they are familiar and require no conscious effort. Identify your toxic habits by tracking your time for 3 days. Write down everything you do and how long each activity takes. Be ruthlessly honest. Include every minute spent on your phone, every conversation, every distraction. At the end of 3 days, review the data. Calculate how much time went to activities that move you forward versus those that keep you stuck. The results will shock you. Most people discover they waste 20 to 30 hours per week on habits that actively harm their progress. Look for patterns in when toxic habits emerge. Do you scroll mindlessly when stressed? Do you eat poorly when tired? Do you gossip when feeling insecure? Do you skip workouts when schedules get busy? Understanding triggers is half the battle. Once you know that stress leads to scrolling, you can intercept the pattern. When stress hits, instead of reaching for your phone, you can take 5 deep breaths or go for a walk. Same trigger, different response, better outcome. Start with your most damaging habit. Do not try fixing everything simultaneously. That guarantees failure. Your willpower is finite. Spread it too thin and it breaks. Pick the one habit causing maximum damage. Maybe it is staying up too late, starting every day exhausted. Maybe it is excessive drinking, clouding your thinking and wrecking your health. Maybe it is constant negative self-talk, destroying confidence before you attempt anything. Whatever it is, make it your primary target. Replace toxic habits rather than simply stopping them. Elimination leaves a void. Voids get filled, usually with something equally problematic. If you stop watching television without adding a better activity, you will likely start scrolling social media instead. Same waste of time, different platform. Identify what positive habit should occupy that space. Read instead of watch. Exercise instead of scroll. Create instead of consume. Make toxic habits inconvenient. Your brain loves easy. It follows paths of least resistance. Use this tendency strategically. Delete social media apps from your phone so accessing them requires intentional effort. Put junk food in hard to reach places while keeping fruit visible at eye level. Place your alarm clock across the room so you must stand to turn it off. These friction points disrupt automatic patterns and force conscious decisions. Remove temptation from your environment entirely when possible. Alcoholics do not keep vodka in the house. People serious about fitness do not stock ice cream. If you want to stop watching television, cancel streaming services. If you want to quit smoking, throw away cigarettes. Relying on willpower when surrounded by temptation is playing on hard mode. Make it easy to do right and hard to do wrong. Announce your commitment to people who care about your success. Public accountability amplifies motivation. Tell 3 friends you are eliminating a specific habit. Give them permission to check on your progress. Knowing someone might ask creates social pressure that reinforces private commitment. You are less likely to indulge when you will have to admit failure to people whose opinions you value. Expect withdrawal symptoms. Your brain adapted to regular doses of whatever your toxic habit provided. When you stop supplying it, your brain protests. You will feel irritable, anxious, restless, or sad. This discomfort is temporary. It peaks around day 3 to 5, then gradually decreases. Knowing this helps you push through. The misery is not permanent. It is your nervous system recalibrating to healthier patterns. Plan for high-risk situations before they arrive. You know when temptation will be strongest. Friday nights if drinking is your issue. Stressful work deadlines if procrastination is your problem. Social gatherings if gossip is your weakness. Do not wing it. Decide in advance exactly what you will do when the urge hits. Write it down. Visualize yourself executing the plan successfully. Preparation prevents relapse. Track your progress visually. Mark each successful day on a calendar with a big X. Watch the chain of X marks grow. This visual feedback satisfies your brain's need for evidence of progress. It also creates motivation to not break the chain. After 10 consecutive days, breaking the pattern feels like losing an investment. Use this psychological quirk to your advantage. Forgive yourself immediately when you slip. You will mess up. Perfection is impossible. The critical question is what happens after failure. Do you spiral into self-loathing and binge the toxic habit as punishment? Or do you acknowledge the slip without drama and return to your plan immediately? One mistake does not erase weeks of progress. Do not use it as excuse to abandon the effort entirely. Study the cost of your toxic habits in concrete terms. That daily coffee shop visit seems harmless. Calculate what you spend annually. Probably enough for a nice vacation. Those hours on social media feel like nothing. Add them up monthly. Probably more time than you spend on your side business or health. Make the invisible visible. When you see the true price of habits, continuing them becomes harder. Find healthier ways to meet the needs your toxic habits address. If scrolling provides escape from boredom, what else could do that? Maybe learning an instrument, trying a craft, or exploring your city. If junk food offers comfort, what non-food sources of comfort exist? Maybe a hot bath, calling a friend, or journaling. If complaining creates connection, how else could you bond with people? Maybe sharing wins instead of problems, asking curious questions, or engaging in activities together. Join or create a group focused on the same change. Communities provide support, accountability, and proof that transformation is possible. If you want to stop drinking, attend recovery meetings. If you want to quit social media, find digital minimalism groups. If you want to eliminate negative thinking, join mindfulness communities. Surrounding yourself with people on similar paths normalizes the difficulty and accelerates your progress. Reward yourself for milestones reached. Your brain needs positive reinforcement to cement new patterns. After 1 week free from a toxic habit, treat yourself to something you enjoy. After 1 month, do something special. Make the reward proportional to the achievement, but ensure it does not contradict your goal. Do not celebrate quitting junk food by eating junk food. That sends confused signals to your brain. Examine the identity underlying your habits. Habits are votes for the type of person you believe you are. If you see yourself as lazy, you will habitually choose comfort over effort. If you see yourself as a victim, you will habitually complain. If you see yourself as someone with poor self-control, you will habitually indulge impulses. Change the identity and the habits follow. Start thinking of yourself as disciplined, capable, and intentional. Act from that identity even before it feels true. Build keystone habits that naturally displace toxic ones. Keystone habits trigger positive cascades. Exercise is a keystone habit. People who exercise regularly naturally eat better, sleep better, and make better decisions across the board. Reading is a keystone habit. It crowds out mindless screen time and expands your thinking. Identify keystone habits for your situation and prioritize them above all others. Understand that toxic habits rarely disappear completely. The neural pathways remain. Under stress or when defenses are down, old patterns can resurface. This is not failure. This is being human. Stay vigilant. Remain aware of your triggers and vulnerabilities. Have plans ready for moments of weakness. The difference between success and failure long-term is not never being tempted, but having systems that prevent temporary temptation from becoming permanent relapse. Your habits are either deposits or withdrawals in the bank of your future. Every choice either builds the person you want to become or reinforces the person you are trying to leave behind. Stop making withdrawals. Stop sabotaging yourself with patterns that feel good for 5 minutes but cost you everything over time. You cannot afford these habits anymore. Not if you are serious about designing the life you actually want instead of accepting whatever your defaults create. Chapter 7. Cultivate deep focus in a distracted, noisy world. Your attention is under siege. Every app, website, and platform fights viciously for a piece of your consciousness. Notifications ping relentlessly. Emails demand immediate responses. Messages interrupt important work. News cycles create artificial urgency. Entertainment beckons from every device. This constant bombardment fractures your focus into worthless fragments. You finish days exhausted, but cannot remember accomplishing anything meaningful. Your time disappeared into 1,000 tiny distractions that felt important, but meant nothing. Deep focus is the scarcest and most valuable skill in the modern economy. Anyone can do shallow work now. Responding to messages, attending meetings, scrolling feeds. Machines and algorithms will soon handle most of this. What cannot be automated or outsourced is the ability to think deeply, create original work, and solve complex problems. These activities require sustained concentration over hours, not minutes. They require pushing past the discomfort of mental strain. They require resisting the siren call of easier tasks that provide instant gratification. Understand that your brain was not designed for the digital world. For millions of years, human attention evolved to scan for threats and opportunities in the environment. Brief bursts of focus followed by scanning made sense when predators lurked nearby. Now this ancient wiring betrays you. Your brain still craves novelty and reacts to every stimulus. Technology companies exploit this biology ruthlessly. They engineer products to hijack your attention systems. Every notification triggers dopamine. Every scroll promises something interesting. Your primitive brain cannot resist, even though your rational mind knows better. Reclaiming focus requires treating it as a skill to develop rather than something you either have or lack. Nobody starts with marathon-level endurance. Runners build stamina gradually through consistent training. Focus works identically. If you can currently concentrate for 10 minutes before distraction strikes, that is your baseline. Train systematically, and you can extend that to 20 minutes, then 40, then 90. But you must actually train. Hoping for better focus while keeping the same habits changes nothing. Begin by eliminating digital distractions during work periods. Turn off all notifications, every single one. Nothing is so urgent it cannot wait an hour. Put your phone in another room entirely. Closing it in a drawer in the same room does not work. You will check it. Out of sight truly does mean out of mind. Close all browser tabs except those directly related to your current task. Having 40 tabs open guarantees constant temptation to switch. Each open tab whispers for attention, fragmenting your concentration before you realize it happened. Use website blockers during focus sessions. Tools like Freedom or Cold Turkey prevent accessing distracting sites even if you try. This removes relying on willpower alone. When your fingers automatically type a social media URL during a moment of boredom, the blocker stops you. That interruption reminds you of your intention. Eventually, you stop trying as your brain learns those sites are unavailable during work time. Batch similar tasks together rather than switching contexts constantly. Context switching destroys productivity. Every time you shift between tasks, your brain needs time to reorient. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain full focus after an interruption. If you switch tasks every 10 minutes, you never achieve deep work. Instead, designate blocks for specific task types. Answer all emails in one session. Make all phone calls in another. Do creative work in a separate block. This batching preserves mental energy and allows genuine depth. Schedule your deep work during your peak mental hours. Everyone has times when their brain functions optimally and times when it barely functions at all. For many people, early morning provides maximum cognitive clarity. For others, late evening works best. Figure out when your mind is sharpest and guard that time fiercely. Use it for your most demanding work. Save shallow administrative tasks for low energy periods when focus is impossible anyway. Create a dedicated workspace that signals focus mode to your brain. Ideally, this is a specific room or area used only for concentrated work. If space is limited, use cues to mark the transition into focus. Put on specific music, light a candle, wear particular clothing. These rituals tell your brain work is beginning. Over time, the cues trigger focus automatically, just like athletes perform pre-game routines to enter optimal mental states. Practice single tasking like your life depends on it, because your success does. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain cannot actually do two cognitively demanding tasks simultaneously. What people call multitasking is rapid task switching. This creates the illusion of productivity while destroying actual output quality. When working on something important, do only that one thing. Not that thing while listening to a podcast. Not that thing while responding to messages. Just that thing with complete attention until finished or until a predetermined time block ends. Build your focus stamina with timed sessions. Start wherever you are. If genuine concentration only lasts 5 minutes currently, begin with 6-minute focus blocks. Set a timer. Work without distraction until it rings. Take a brief break. Repeat. Each week, add 2 minutes to your blocks. Within months, you will easily maintain focus for 90-minute stretches. This gradual progression prevents burnout and allows your brain to adapt without rebellion. Embrace boredom instead of constantly seeking stimulation. Modern life has conditioned you to fear empty moments. Waiting in line, check your phone, stuck in traffic, listen to something, quiet evening, turn on television. This constant input prevents your mind from processing experiences and generating original thoughts. Schedule periods of zero stimulation. Sit quietly with no devices, no music, no input whatsoever. Your brain will scream initially. Push through. After the discomfort fades, creativity and insight emerge from the silence. Read physical books daily. Reading requires sustained attention on a single narrative for extended periods. This trains exactly the focus muscle you need for deep work. Digital reading does not provide the same benefit because hyperlinks and notifications constantly tempt you away. Physical books offer no escape hatches. You must stay with the material or put the book down. This constraint strengthens concentration in ways scrolling articles never will. Meditate to develop meta-awareness of your attention. Meditation is focus training disguised as relaxation. You attempt to concentrate on your breath. Your mind wanders within seconds. You notice it wandered and bring it back. This noticing and redirecting is the exercise. Do this for 10 minutes daily, and you develop the ability to catch your attention drifting during work. That awareness allows course correction before you lose an hour to distraction. Manage your energy, not just your time. Focus requires fuel. Running on empty guarantees shallow work regardless of techniques used. Eat foods that stabilize blood sugar rather than spiking and crashing it. Protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates sustain mental performance. Simple sugars and refined carbs create energy volatility that makes concentration impossible. Hydrate consistently. Even mild dehydration impairs cognitive function. Sleep adequately. No amount of focus training compensates for chronic sleep deprivation. Take real breaks between focus sessions. Breaks are not weakness. They are strategic recovery that enables more deep work. But scrolling social media is not a break. That trades one form of mental strain for another. Real breaks involve physical movement, being in nature, or genuine rest. Walk outside, do stretches, close your eyes and breathe. These activities allow your mind to consolidate information and prepare for the next work session. Protect your focus by learning to say no. Every commitment you accept is a claim on your attention. Most requests are not urgent despite feeling that way. Most opportunities are not as valuable as focused work on your primary goals. When someone asks for your time, pause before agreeing. Ask whether this aligns with your priorities. If not, decline politely. People will respect you more for having boundaries than for agreeing to everything, then delivering mediocre results, because your attention is split 17 ways. Recognize that social pressure will push you toward distraction. Colleagues expect instant responses. Friends wonder why you did not see their posts. Family questions why you missed their message. These expectations are unreasonable but widespread. You must educate people that you batch communications and are not available constantly. Set expectations up front. Check messages at specific times. Respond during designated windows. People will adjust once they understand your boundaries are firm. Audit your commitments quarterly. List everything competing for your attention, including projects, subscriptions, memberships, relationships, and activities. Ask which ones serve your current goals and which are legacy obligations you keep from habit. Eliminate ruthlessly. Every input you remove frees attention for what actually matters. You are not being selfish. You are being strategic. Scattered attention achieves nothing. Concentrated attention moves mountains. Use the Pomodoro technique when focus feels impossible. Work for 25 minutes, then break for 5. Repeat 4 times, then take a longer break. This chunking makes intimidating tasks feel manageable. Knowing a break is coming in 25 minutes helps you resist distraction. You can check that message after the timer rings. This delay usually reveals the message was not urgent after all. Track your deep work hours weekly. Measure what matters. Write down how many hours you spent in genuine concentration versus shallow activities. Most people are horrified by how little deep work they actually do. Awareness creates accountability. You cannot ignore poor results when staring at data proving you only focused deeply for 3 hours across an entire week. Understand that depth is a competitive advantage. While everyone else fractures their attention across a dozen platforms, you can develop expertise, create valuable work, and build something meaningful. While others react to every notification, you can think strategically and act deliberately. While others complain about information overload, you can filter ruthlessly and focus on what matters. This is not about working more. This is about working better by directing your full cognitive capacity at tasks that warrant it. Your ability to focus determines your ceiling. Scattered attention guarantees mediocre results regardless of talent or effort. Concentrated attention allows ordinary people to produce extraordinary work. Choose which category you want to occupy. Then build the systems and habits that make deep focus inevitable rather than accidental. Chapter 80: Design your personal vision board for future success. Vision boards get dismissed as wishful thinking by people who never tried them properly. They imagine cutting pictures from magazines and hoping the universe delivers. That is magical thinking. Real vision boards are strategic tools that program your subconscious mind to recognize opportunities and make decisions aligned with your desired future. They work not through mystical forces but through well-documented psychological mechanisms including selective attention, priming, and neuroplasticity. Your brain contains a filtering system called the reticular activating system. This network decides what information reaches your conscious awareness from the millions of stimuli bombarding you constantly. Without this filter, you would drown in sensory overload. The system prioritizes information it deems important based on what you focus on regularly. When you buy a red car, suddenly you notice red cars everywhere. They were always there. Your brain just started highlighting them because they became relevant. A vision board exploits this mechanism deliberately. By looking at images representing your goals daily, you train your brain to notice related opportunities. If your board shows a healthy body, you start noticing gyms, healthy recipes, and fitness content. If it displays financial abundance, you become aware of investment opportunities and money-saving strategies. The opportunities existed before. Your brain filtered them out as irrelevant. The vision board changes the filter settings. Start by getting clear on what you actually want. Most people create vision boards filled with things they think they should want or things that look impressive. This is worthless. Your subconscious knows when you are lying. It will not cooperate with goals you do not genuinely desire. Spend serious time examining what would make you feel fulfilled, not what would impress others or satisfy parents or look good on Instagram. Sit somewhere quiet without distractions. Close your eyes and imagine yourself 5 years from now living your ideal life. Do not limit yourself with practical concerns yet. Just envision what you want. Where do you live? What does your home look like? Who shares it with you? What work do you do? How do you spend free time? What does your body feel like? What kind of relationships do you have? How do you contribute to others? Build this vision in rich detail, engaging all senses. Write everything down immediately after this visualization. Capture specific details while they are fresh. The more concrete your vision, the more powerful your board becomes. Vague wishes like happiness or success mean nothing. Specific details like a home office with large windows overlooking trees or running a marathon without stopping create clear targets your brain can work toward. Gather materials that represent different life areas. You need images for health, relationships, career, finances, personal growth, and contribution. Use magazines, print images from online, or take your own photos. Digital vision boards work too, though physical boards provide more tactile engagement. Choose images that trigger emotional responses. If a picture does not make you feel something, it will not motivate action. Select images that show outcomes you want, not just objects. A picture of money sitting in stacks is less effective than an image showing someone confidently discussing investments or traveling freely. Your brain responds to context and emotion more than objects. Include images of people displaying qualities you want to embody. Someone radiating confidence, someone helping others, someone in peak physical condition. Your mirror neurons activate when viewing these images, making the qualities feel more attainable. Add words and phrases that resonate with your vision. Affirmations, quotes, or single powerful words anchor the visual elements. Keep language positive and present tense. Not "I want to be fit, but I am strong and healthy." Not "I will start a business, but I am a successful entrepreneur." This subtle shift in language signals your brain that these states are current reality, not distant fantasy. Your subconscious works to align your behavior with your perceived identity. Organize your board thoughtfully rather than randomly slapping images down. Some people prefer separating life areas into sections. Others create a central image representing their core vision with supporting images radiating outward. The specific layout matters less than ensuring every element serves a purpose. Each image should connect to a specific goal or value. Random inspirational pictures dilute focus and confuse your subconscious. Place your vision board where you will see it multiple times daily. Bathroom mirror, bedroom wall, office desk, or phone wallpaper all work. The key is consistent exposure. Looking at your board once when you create it, then hiding it in a closet accomplishes nothing. Your brain needs repeated reinforcement to rewire attention filters and decision-making patterns. Even brief glances throughout the day compound into powerful programming over weeks and months. Spend 3 minutes with your board each morning. Do not just glance at it. Study each element. Visualize yourself living that reality. Feel the emotions of achievement. Imagine specific scenarios where you embody the qualities and possess the experiences shown. This active engagement amplifies the priming effect. Your brain takes these visualizations seriously and begins problem-solving how to make them real. Update your vision board regularly as circumstances change. Goals you set a year ago might not fit who you are becoming. New aspirations emerge as you grow. Images that once inspired you might feel stale. Refresh your board every few months to maintain emotional resonance. This is not abandoning goals. This is evolving them as you gain clarity about what truly matters. Include process images alongside outcome images. Showing only finished results can feel overwhelming. Add images representing actions that lead to those results. If you want a fit body, include pictures of someone exercising joyfully or preparing healthy food. These process images remind you that success comes through daily habits, not magical transformation. They make the journey feel approachable rather than intimidating. Avoid cluttering your board with too many images. More is not better. A board crammed with hundreds of pictures overwhelms rather than focuses. Choose 20 to 30 carefully selected images that genuinely represent your priorities. Each image should earn its place by connecting to a clear goal. Quality and relevance matter infinitely more than quantity. Share your vision board selectively. Showing it to supportive people who believe in your potential can increase accountability and motivation. They might spot opportunities that align with your vision, but avoid sharing with cynics or people invested in keeping you small. Their doubts will seed themselves in your mind and undermine the programming you are building. Protect your vision fiercely during vulnerable stages. Create a digital version accessible on your phone, even if you have a physical board. This ensures you can reference your vision anywhere, Waiting rooms, commutes, and breaks become opportunities for reinforcement rather than wasted time. The more touchpoints you create with your vision throughout the day, the faster it infiltrates your subconscious decision-making. Notice when opportunities aligned with your board appear. This is the system working. Your attention filter now highlights relevant information. Act on these opportunities immediately. Hesitation is trained behavior from years of playing small. When you spot something moving you toward your vision, take the next step before fear can intervene. Your board primes recognition. You must supply action. Keep a journal tracking synchronicities and progress related to your vision board. Write down when you notice opportunities, meet helpful people, or experience breakthroughs connected to board elements. This documentation proves the process works, strengthening your belief and commitment. It also reveals patterns in how opportunities manifest so you can recognize and leverage them more effectively. Understand that vision boards do not replace action. They enhance it. No amount of visualization compensates for refusing to do the work. The board programs your subconscious to support your goals. You still must show up daily and execute. Think of it as alignment between conscious and subconscious minds. When both work toward the same targets, you become unstoppable. Combine your vision board with concrete planning. For each element on your board, identify 3 specific actions that move you toward that outcome. Write them down. Schedule them. Complete them. The vision board provides direction and motivation. Planning provides the roadmap. Action provides the results. All 3 components must work together. Expect your rational mind to resist this practice initially. It feels silly cutting out pictures and staring at them. Your logical brain wants spreadsheets and detailed plans. It dismisses visualization as unscientific. This resistance is normal. Push through it. The science supporting visualization and priming is robust. Olympic athletes use mental imagery. Successful entrepreneurs visualize outcomes. Top performers across fields leverage these techniques because they work. Review your board during difficult periods when doubt creeps in. Setbacks are inevitable. During these times, your board serves as a reminder of why you started and where you are heading. It reconnects you with the emotional fuel that powers persistence. When you feel like quitting, spend 10 minutes with your board. Remember the vision. Remember who you are becoming. Then get back to work. Your vision board is not about attracting things through cosmic ordering. It is about programming your perception to recognize pathways toward your goals and programming your behavior to walk those pathways consistently. It bridges the gap between who you are now and who you are becoming. It makes the invisible visible and the distant feel near. Create yours not because it guarantees success, but because it radically increases the probability of success by aligning every system in your brain toward a common purpose. Chapter 9c. Strengthen emotional intelligence to lead others with compassion. Technical skills open doors, but emotional intelligence determines how far you walk through them. You can master your craft, accumulate credentials, and develop impressive expertise. None of it matters if you cannot understand people, manage relationships, and navigate the complex emotional terrain of human interaction. The most brilliant individual contributor who alienates everyone becomes irrelevant. The moderately talented person who connects authentically with others rises to positions of influence and impact. Emotional intelligence begins with recognizing your own emotional states accurately. Most people have surprisingly poor emotional awareness. They feel vaguely bad without knowing whether they are angry, sad, anxious, or disappointed. They sense something is off but cannot name it. This lack of precision prevents appropriate response. You cannot regulate what you cannot identify. Start building a richer emotional vocabulary beyond the basics of happy, sad, mad, and scared. When you notice discomfort, pause and investigate it. Where do you feel this sensation in your body, your chest, your stomach, your shoulders? What word best describes it? Frustrated, overwhelmed, resentful, insecure. The act of labeling emotions accurately reduces their intensity immediately. Neuroscience research shows that naming emotions activates prefrontal regions that help regulate limbic responses. Simply identifying that you feel anxious rather than just bad gives you back some control. Understand the difference between primary and secondary emotions. Primary emotions arise directly from situations. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel startled. That is primary. But within seconds you might feel anger. That is secondary. You added interpretation about their disrespect or your importance. The anger came from your thoughts about the event, not the event itself. Recognizing this distinction reveals that you have more control over emotional experiences than you realized. Practice the pause before reacting emotionally. When something triggers you, you have a brief window before conditioning takes over. Expand that window through deliberate practice. When you feel emotional intensity rising, count to 10 before speaking. Take 3 deep breaths. Excuse yourself to the restroom if necessary. This space allows your prefrontal cortex to come back online and choose a response rather than defaulting to automatic reaction patterns formed years ago. Develop empathy by genuinely trying to understand perspectives different from yours. This does not mean agreeing with everyone. It means recognizing that people act from their own logic, history, and pain. The colleague who snapped at you might be dealing with a sick parent. The friend who cancelled plans might be battling depression. The partner who seems distant might be processing something they do not know how to articulate. When you assume positive intent and look for context, compassion becomes natural. Listen to understand rather than to respond. Most people listen just long enough to find an opening to insert their own story or advice. They think about what they will say next while the other person is still talking. This is not listening. This is waiting for your turn. Real listening means giving someone your complete attention, putting away devices, making eye contact, noticing their body language and tone, asking clarifying questions, reflecting back what you heard to ensure accuracy. Validate emotions even when you disagree with conclusions. Someone can feel hurt by something you did not intend as hurtful. Their feeling is real regardless of your intention. Saying that makes sense that you feel that way costs you nothing and opens dialogue. Arguing that they should not feel hurt closes it. You can validate feelings while still presenting your perspective. I understand why that upset you. Here is what I was actually trying to accomplish. This approach honors their experience while sharing yours. Regulate your emotional expression to match context. Emotional intelligence is not suppressing emotions. It is expressing them appropriately for the situation. Crying during a sad movie is healthy. Crying during a tense business negotiation undermines your position. Getting excited about good news is wonderful. Getting so excited you dominate every conversation becomes exhausting for others. Read the room. Adjust your emotional volume to fit social context. Recognize emotional contagion and use it deliberately. Emotions spread between people automatically through mirror neurons and unconscious mimicry. When you interact with someone anxious, you often become anxious. When someone radiates calm confidence, you feel more settled. As a leader, your emotional state infects everyone around you. If you show up stressed and frantic, your team becomes stressed and frantic. If you model composure and optimism even during challenges, they absorb that too. Ask better questions to understand people more deeply. Surface questions get surface answers. How are you produces fine automatically. What has been on your mind lately invites actual sharing. What is challenging you right now shows genuine interest. What would help you feel supported demonstrates care. These questions require vulnerability and time. They cannot be asked while multitasking or rushing, but they build connection that transforms relationships from transactional to meaningful. Share your own emotions appropriately to build trust. Vulnerability invites vulnerability. When you admit you feel uncertain or overwhelmed or excited, you give others permission to be human too. This does not mean making every conversation about your feelings or using others as therapists. It means appropriate self-disclosure that shows you are a real person, not a robot or a facade. People follow authentic leaders far more readily than perfect ones. Apologize sincerely when you hurt someone regardless of intent. Saying "I am sorry you feel that way" is not an apology. That is invalidation disguised as apology. Real apologies acknowledge your impact without justification. "I am sorry I said that. It was hurtful and I should not have." Period. No buts. No explanations about how they misunderstood. No deflection about how stressed you were. Own your behavior. Make amends. Commit to doing better. Set boundaries without aggression. Emotional intelligence includes protecting your own well-being while respecting others. You can decline requests, push back on unreasonable demands, and exit toxic situations without attacking the other person. "I cannot take that on right now" is complete. You do not owe elaborate explanations. When someone violates your boundaries repeatedly, you can distance yourself while wishing them well. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you control. Notice patterns in your emotional triggers. Everyone has hot buttons that provoke disproportionate reactions. Maybe being interrupted enrages you. Maybe criticism devastates you. Maybe feeling excluded triggers panic. These patterns usually trace back to earlier experiences. You cannot eliminate triggers, but you can prepare for them. When you know that criticism hits hard, you can remind yourself before performance reviews that feedback is not a judgment of your worth. Develop self-soothing techniques for when emotions overwhelm you. You cannot always process feelings in the moment. Sometimes you need quick tools to regain composure. Deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Cold water on your wrists provides sensory reset. Progressive muscle relaxation releases physical tension. Having a toolkit of techniques prevents emotional flooding from derailing important situations. Celebrate others genuinely without jealousy. When colleagues succeed, when friends receive good news, when family members achieve goals, your response reveals your emotional intelligence. Secure people celebrate others freely. Insecure people feel diminished by others' wins. Practice genuine happiness for people around you. Their success is not your failure. Abundance mentality recognizes that someone else's gain does not require your loss. Give feedback that strengthens rather than destroys. Criticism delivered poorly damages relationships and demotivates people. Effective feedback is specific, focuses on behavior rather than character, and includes actionable suggestions. When you prepared that presentation, several slides contained errors. Going forward, build in time for proofreading or ask someone to review before presenting. This is constructive. You are careless and sloppy is destructive. Same underlying issue, vastly different impact. Read body language to understand unspoken communication. People reveal emotions through posture, facial expressions, and gestures even when their words say something different. Someone says they are fine while their arms are crossed and their jaw is tight. They are not fine. You can gently probe. You seem tense. Is something bothering you? This shows you pay attention and care enough to look beneath the surface. Manage your energy to show up emotionally available for others. When you are depleted, you have nothing to give. You become irritable, impatient, and emotionally reactive. Protect your capacity by maintaining the fundamentals. Adequate sleep, nutritious food, regular movement, time alone to recharge if you are introverted, social connection if you are extroverted. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Practice gratitude to maintain positive emotional baseline. People with higher baseline positivity handle stress better, recover from setbacks faster, and build stronger relationships. Gratitude rewires your brain toward noticing good rather than dwelling on problems. Write 3 specific things you appreciate each evening. Look for different items daily. This trains your attention to scan for positives the way it naturally scans for threats. Seek diverse relationships that expose you to different ways of being. Homogeneous social circles create echo chambers. You assume your perspective is universal when it is just familiar. Befriend people with different backgrounds, beliefs, and life experiences. Their perspectives expand your emotional range and deepen your understanding of human complexity. This makes you more effective with the wider variety of people you will encounter professionally and personally. Forgive others and yourself to release resentment. Holding grudges is drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. Forgiveness is not condoning harmful behavior. It is releasing the emotional charge so that person or event no longer controls you. Some hurts are too deep for instant forgiveness. That is acceptable. Work toward it gradually. The freedom you gain is worth the effort. Lead with compassion by remembering everyone carries hidden struggles. The difficult person at work might be grieving. The angry stranger might be in chronic pain. The withdrawn friend might be battling depression. You cannot know what others endure privately. This does not excuse bad behavior, but it provides context that softens judgment. Compassionate leadership sees people as humans first, not just roles or obstacles or resources. Your emotional intelligence determines the quality of every relationship you have. It shapes how people experience you. It influences whether you inspire or alienate, whether you build or destroy, whether you lead or drive people away. No amount of technical competence compensates for emotional incompetence. Develop this skill deliberately and watch every area of your life improve dramatically. Chapter 105. Develop consistent discipline that overrides fleeting motivation always. Discipline is not a feeling you wait for. It is a decision you return to when feelings change. Most people build their lives on motivation, and motivation is unstable. It rises when things feel exciting and disappears when effort becomes uncomfortable. Discipline works in the opposite direction. It stays present even when enthusiasm is gone. It does not ask how you feel today. It asks what must be done, and then it moves your body to do it. When discipline becomes your foundation, progress stops depending on mood, energy. It becomes predictable, steady, and powerful. Consistency is not created by intensity. It is created by agreement. You make an agreement with yourself about who you are and how you behave, and then you honor it whether the day is easy or difficult. This is where most people fail. They negotiate with themselves every morning. They ask if today feels like the right day to act. Discipline removes negotiation. It replaces debate with structure. When there is no discussion, action happens faster. When action happens faster, results begin to compound. Discipline is built through small, repeatable actions that are done without drama. It is not loud. It does not require a burst of confidence. It grows quietly when you show up even when nothing feels rewarding. Each time you act without motivation, you train your nervous system to obey intention instead of emotion. Over time, this rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. The mind resists discipline because discipline exposes excuses. Motivation allows room for stories. Discipline allows none. When you rely on discipline, you see clearly where you have been avoiding responsibility. That clarity can feel uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. Once excuses are removed, energy stops being wasted. You no longer spend time convincing yourself. You simply move. Discipline becomes sustainable when it is attached to systems rather than willpower. Willpower drains quickly. Systems reduce decision-making. When your day has a clear structure, discipline no longer feels heavy. You wake up knowing what comes next. You design your environment to support the behavior you want, not the behavior you are trying to escape. You place reminders where action should occur. You remove friction from good habits and increase friction for distractions. This is discipline expressed through intelligence, not force. Progress accelerates when discipline becomes automatic. Automatic behavior is created through repetition, not motivation. Each repetition strengthens a pattern. Eventually, the action feels strange to skip. This is when discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. You are no longer pushing yourself. You are simply acting in alignment with who you believe you are. Discipline also requires honesty about energy, not excuses about fatigue. There will be days when your best is less than usual. Discipline does not demand perfection. It demands presence. Showing up at a reduced level is still showing up. This is how momentum is protected. Momentum is fragile when tied to performance. It is durable when tied to participation. The real power of discipline appears when no one is watching. External pressure can create temporary action, but only internal standards create lasting change. Discipline is the ability to keep your word to yourself when there is no reward and no recognition. Each time you do that, self-trust increases. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. You do not become confident by thinking differently. You become confident by proving to yourself that you act consistently. Discipline also clarifies priorities. When everything feels optional, nothing receives your full energy. Discipline forces you to choose what matters most and protect it with time and effort. This protection is not aggressive. It is calm and firm. You stop explaining your goals to people who do not support them. You stop overcommitting. You learn to say no without guilt because your daily actions already say yes to your future. Many people wait for discipline to arrive after motivation. In reality, motivation often arrives after discipline. Action creates emotional momentum. Once progress is visible, energy increases naturally. This is why starting is more important than feeling ready. Discipline initiates motion. Motion generates clarity. Clarity fuels confidence. There will be resistance. Resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a signal that you are crossing a boundary between who you were and who you are becoming. Discipline is the bridge across that boundary. Each time you cross it, the resistance weakens. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes normal. Discipline must be practiced daily, not dramatically. Grand promises collapse under pressure. Simple routines survive. You do not need to overhaul your life in one decision. You need to repeat a few meaningful actions every day. These actions should be so clear that there is no confusion about when or how they are done. Clarity eliminates friction. Friction kills consistency. The final shift happens when discipline becomes non-negotiable. Not harsh, not rigid, but stable. You do not argue with gravity. You do not argue with time. Discipline should feel the same. It becomes a rule you live by, not a mood you chase. When this happens, motivation becomes a bonus instead of a requirement. A disciplined life moves forward quietly, steadily, and relentlessly. It does not rush, and it does not retreat. It accumulates results because it refuses to rely on emotion. When discipline overrides fleeting motivation, progress becomes inevitable. You stop hoping for change and start producing it. Day after day, action after action, you build a life that reflects intention rather than impulse. Chapter 17. Embrace failure as your greatest teacher for growth. Failure is often misunderstood because it is judged too quickly. People label it as a stopping point, a verdict on ability, or proof that they were not meant to succeed. In reality, failure is information. It reveals what does not work, what is incomplete, and what still needs to be learned. Growth begins the moment failure is no longer taken personally and instead treated as feedback. When you change the meaning of failure, you change how much power it has over you. Most people fear failure because they connect it to identity. They believe that failing means they are inadequate. This belief creates avoidance. They delay action, overthink decisions, and choose comfort over progress. The cost of this avoidance is far greater than the cost of failure itself. Growth requires exposure, and exposure always carries the risk of falling short. Those who grow the fastest are not the most talented. They are the ones who are willing to fail, reflect, and adjust without quitting. Failure teaches lessons that success cannot. Success often hides weaknesses. Failure exposes them clearly. It shows where preparation was insufficient, where assumptions were wrong, and where effort was misdirected. These insights are valuable only if you are willing to face them honestly. When failure is met with defensiveness, the lesson is lost. When it is met with curiosity, progress accelerates. Embracing failure does not mean celebrating mistakes or being careless. It means understanding that mistakes are part of the learning process. Every skill, every achievement, and every breakthrough is built on earlier attempts that did not work. The difference between those who grow and those who stagnate is not the absence of failure, but the response to it. Growth-oriented individuals study failure. They ask what can be improved rather than who is to blame. Failure also strengthens resilience. Each setback survived builds emotional endurance. You learn that disappointment is temporary and that recovery is possible. This knowledge changes how you approach challenges. Fear loses its grip when you realize that failure is survivable. Confidence is not created by constant success. It is created by recovering repeatedly and continuing forward anyway. There is also humility hidden inside failure. It reminds you that mastery takes time. It keeps ego in check and opens the door to learning. When you accept that you do not know everything, you become teachable. This openness allows you to absorb feedback, refine strategy, and improve execution. Growth slows down when pride prevents reflection. Failure removes that barrier if you allow it to. Failure sharpens clarity. When something does not work, it forces you to examine your goals more closely. Sometimes failure reveals that you were chasing the wrong objective. Other times it shows that the goal is right, but the approach is flawed. Either way, clarity increases. You gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters and what needs to change. Many people quit too early because they assume failure means the path is wrong. In truth, failure often means you are on the path, but still early in the process. Progress is rarely linear. It moves forward, pauses, stumbles, and then continues. Those who expect smooth progress become discouraged quickly. Those who expect resistance remain steady. Embracing failure prepares you mentally for the realities of growth. Failure also builds problem-solving ability. Each obstacle demands a new response. Over time, you become more adaptable. You stop panicking when things go wrong and start analyzing calmly. This adaptability becomes a long-term advantage. Life rarely goes according to plan, but those who have learned from failure adjust faster and recover stronger. There is freedom in accepting failure. You stop needing perfection before action. You stop waiting until conditions are ideal. You begin to move with what you have, knowing that adjustment is part of the process. This freedom leads to momentum. Momentum creates experience. Experience leads to competence. Failure teaches patience. It reminds you that meaningful growth cannot be rushed. When results take longer than expected, failure forces you to stay committed beyond excitement. This endurance separates temporary effort from lasting transformation. Patience developed through failure becomes discipline in action. Another lesson failure offers is self-awareness. It shows how you respond under pressure. Do you withdraw, blame, or reflect? Your response reveals your current mindset. Each failure gives you a chance to upgrade that mindset. With practice, reflection replaces reaction. Growth replaces frustration. Failure also helps redefine success. Success stops being about flawless outcomes and starts being about improvement. Each attempt becomes valuable, regardless of the result. This shift reduces anxiety and increases consistency. When you measure progress by learning rather than winning, effort becomes sustainable. It is important to understand that failure does not disappear as you grow. The level of failure changes. As goals become larger, challenges become more complex. Failure continues to appear, but by then, you have learned how to use it. It no longer stops you. It guides you. Those who achieve lasting success often have a long history of setbacks behind them. What sets them apart is not luck or talent alone, but the ability to remain engaged through disappointment. They stay curious when things fall apart. They remain committed when results are delayed. They understand that failure is not an enemy, but a teacher that demands attention. When failure is embraced, effort becomes fearless. You stop protecting your ego and start protecting your growth. You take smarter risks, learn faster, and move forward with greater clarity. Failure becomes a stepping stone instead of a barrier. Growth is not built on avoiding mistakes. It is built on learning from them repeatedly. When you stop running from failure and start listening to it, you gain access to lessons that cannot be learned any other way. Failure does not define you. How you respond to it does. Chapter 12:5 Practice gratitude daily to rewire your brain positively. Gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is an active mental practice that reshapes how your brain interprets reality. Most people assume gratitude appears after life improves, but the opposite is true. Life begins to feel lighter once gratitude becomes a habit. The brain constantly scans for meaning, and whatever you repeatedly focus on becomes amplified. When attention is trained on what is missing, dissatisfaction grows. When attention is trained on what is present, stability and clarity begin to form. The human mind has a natural bias toward problems. This bias exists for survival, not happiness. It keeps you alert to danger, flaws, and uncertainty. Gratitude does not eliminate this bias, but it balances it. It teaches the brain to notice safety alongside risk, progress alongside effort, and sufficiency alongside desire. Over time, this balance changes emotional tone. Stress becomes easier to manage. Contentment becomes more accessible. Practicing gratitude daily is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing what is still working even when things feel difficult. This recognition anchors the mind. When challenges arise, gratitude prevents emotional spirals by reminding you that difficulty exists within a larger context of support, learning, and continuity. This perspective creates emotional resilience without denial. The brain learns through repetition. Each grateful thought strengthens a neural pathway associated with positive interpretation. These pathways become more efficient the more they are used. Eventually, the brain begins to default to appreciation rather than complaint. This shift does not happen through intensity, it happens through consistency. A few minutes of genuine gratitude practiced daily reshapes perception more effectively than occasional emotional highs. Gratitude also changes how you relate to time. When appreciation is present, the mind stops rushing toward the future for fulfillment. You begin to notice value in the current moment. This presence reduces anxiety because anxiety thrives on imagined futures. Gratitude grounds attention in what already exists, creating psychological stability. Another powerful effect of gratitude is improved self-relationship. When you regularly acknowledge what you have done well, what you have endured, and what you continue to build, self-criticism softens. This does not reduce ambition, it strengthens it. Growth becomes fueled by encouragement rather than pressure. You work from self-respect instead of self-rejection. Gratitude also enhances emotional regulation. When emotions fluctuate, gratitude acts as a stabilizer. It does not suppress feelings, it contextualizes them. Frustration becomes easier to process when it exists alongside appreciation. Disappointment loses intensity when balanced with acknowledgement of effort and learning. Emotional balance improves not because problems disappear, but because perspective widens. Daily gratitude strengthens relationships as well. When appreciation becomes internal, it naturally extends outward. You begin to notice effort in others, patience in conversations, and support that was previously overlooked. This awareness improves communication and reduces unnecessary conflict. Relationships thrive when acknowledgement replaces assumption. Gratitude also trains the brain to recognize progress. Many people overlook improvement because they are focused on distance rather than direction. Gratitude highlights movement. It notices small wins, gradual changes, and steady effort. This recognition sustains momentum. Motivation becomes steadier because progress feels visible. There is also a physical dimension to gratitude. Research consistently shows that grateful thinking reduces stress responses in the body. Breathing slows, muscles relax, sleep improves. When the nervous system is calmer, decision-making improves. Gratitude indirectly supports better choices by reducing emotional reactivity. The simplicity of gratitude is often misunderstood. It does not require dramatic reflection or long journaling sessions. It requires sincerity. Noticing one meaningful thing and allowing it to register fully is enough. The brain responds to emotional authenticity, not quantity. Forced gratitude has little effect. Honest gratitude creates lasting change. Gratitude is especially powerful during difficult periods. When circumstances are challenging, appreciation may feel counterintuitive. Yet this is when it is most transformative. Gratitude does not deny pain. It reminds you that pain is not the entirety of experience. This reminder preserves hope without illusion. Practicing gratitude daily also strengthens patience. When appreciation is present, urgency softens. You stop demanding immediate results from life. This patience improves long-term consistency. You remain engaged without burning out because satisfaction is no longer postponed indefinitely. Another subtle effect of gratitude is increased humility. Appreciation reduces entitlement. You stop viewing positive experiences as guaranteed and start valuing them as meaningful. This humility keeps expectations realistic and reduces frustration. Life becomes easier to navigate when gratitude replaces constant comparison. Gratitude also improves focus. When the mind is consumed by dissatisfaction, attention scatters. When appreciation is present, attention stabilizes. You become more engaged with tasks because resistance decreases. Work feels less heavy. Effort feels more purposeful. Daily gratitude also reinforces personal values. What you appreciate reveals what matters to you. Over time, this clarity influences decisions. You naturally prioritize what aligns with your values because appreciation highlights importance. Life begins to feel more coherent. The practice of gratitude does not remove ambition. It refines it. You still pursue growth but without constant dissatisfaction. You aim higher while respecting the present. This balance creates sustainable drive rather than restless striving. Gratitude becomes most powerful when it is practiced quietly. It does not need to be shared or displayed. It is an internal orientation, a way of seeing, a way of interpreting experience. When practiced daily, it becomes automatic. Over time, gratitude changes how challenges are perceived. Obstacles become opportunities for learning rather than signs of failure. Effort feels meaningful even before results appear. This mindset reduces emotional volatility and increases consistency. Rewiring the brain positively does not happen through one insight. It happens through repeated attention. Gratitude is attention directed with intention. Each day you practice it, you reinforce a mental environment where growth feels possible and stability feels natural. A grateful mind does not ignore difficulty. It simply refuses to let difficulty dominate perception. With daily practice, gratitude becomes less of an exercise and more of a default state. When that happens, the mind becomes calmer, clearer, and more resilient. This is not optimism, it is trained awareness. Chapter 13. Communicate with confidence that inspires trust in others. Confidence in communication is not about sounding impressive. It is about sounding clear. People trust what they understand, and they trust those who understand themselves. When your words reflect certainty rather than confusion, others feel safe listening to you. Confidence begins internally, long before a sentence is spoken. It forms when you are aligned with what you believe, what you know, and what you are willing to stand behind. Many people mistake loudness for confidence. In reality, confidence is often calm. It does not rush to prove itself. It does not over-explain or dominate conversations. Confident communication is steady, intentional, and grounded. It comes from knowing your message and respecting both yourself and the listener. When this balance is present, trust naturally follows. Trust grows when your words and actions match. Consistency creates credibility. If your communication changes depending on who you are speaking to or what you want from them, people sense instability. Confidence removes this inconsistency. You speak the same truth whether the room is supportive or challenging. This steadiness signals reliability. Clarity is a major component of confident communication. When thoughts are scattered, speech becomes uncertain. Taking time to organize ideas before expressing them makes a significant difference. You do not need perfect wording. You need clear intent. When your intent is clear, your delivery becomes more effective even if the language is simple. Listening is another overlooked aspect of confidence. Those who are secure do not fear silence. They allow others to speak fully without interrupting or preparing a response prematurely. This presence communicates respect. People feel heard, and feeling heard builds trust faster than clever speech ever could. Confidence also shows in pacing. Rushed speech often signals nervousness or a desire for approval. Slower, deliberate pacing suggests thoughtfulness. It allows your words to land. It also gives you control over the interaction. Silence used intentionally can be more powerful than filling every gap with noise. Body language reinforces spoken confidence. Eye contact, relaxed posture, and controlled gestures support your message. These signals are processed subconsciously by others. When body language aligns with speech, credibility increases. When it conflicts, trust weakens. Awareness of this alignment strengthens overall communication. Confident communicators are comfortable saying less. They do not overwhelm listeners with unnecessary details. They choose relevance over volume. This selectivity shows respect for time and attention. It also demonstrates self-assurance, because the speaker is not afraid that fewer words will reduce impact. Another key element is emotional regulation. Confidence weakens when emotions take control of expression. Speaking from frustration, insecurity, or defensiveness creates tension. Confident communication maintains composure even during disagreement. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means expressing it clearly without allowing it to dominate the message. Confidence also requires honesty about limits. Saying you do not know something does not reduce trust. It often increases it. Pretending to know creates fragility. Admitting uncertainty shows integrity and openness to learning. People trust those who are truthful more than those who appear flawless. Tone plays a critical role. A respectful tone invites cooperation. A condescending tone creates resistance. Confidence never needs to belittle others to elevate itself. It stands independently. When respect is present, even difficult messages can be delivered without damaging trust. Preparation strengthens confidence. Knowing your subject reduces hesitation. When you are prepared, you speak from understanding rather than memory. This depth allows you to adapt to questions or shifts in conversation without losing composure. Preparation does not mean scripting every word. It means understanding the core message well enough to express it naturally. Confident communication also involves boundaries. You do not agree simply to avoid conflict. You do not remain silent when clarity is needed. Expressing boundaries calmly shows self-respect. Others learn how to interact with you through how you communicate limits. Clear boundaries reduce misunderstanding and resentment. Trust is also built through empathy. Understanding the perspective of the listener improves connection. This does not require agreement. It requires acknowledgement. When people feel understood, they are more open to what you have to say. Confidence combined with empathy creates influence without force. Another important aspect is accountability. Confident communicators own their words. They correct themselves when necessary. They do not deflect responsibility. This accountability strengthens trust because it shows reliability. People feel secure engaging with someone who takes responsibility for their communication. Confidence grows with practice. Each conversation is an opportunity to refine clarity, tone, and presence. Mistakes are part of the process. Learning from them strengthens skill. Avoiding communication out of fear prevents growth. Engaging consistently builds competence over time. Confidence is also influenced by self-talk. How you speak to yourself affects how you speak to others. Self-respect internally translates to assertiveness externally. When internal dialogue is supportive, external communication becomes more stable. Confidence cannot be faked for long if self-doubt dominates internally. Another factor is intention. Speaking with the intention to contribute rather than impress changes the energy of communication. Contribution, focused communication feels grounded and sincere. Impression, focused communication often feels strained. Trust develops when people sense authenticity rather than performance. Confident communicators are adaptable. They adjust language based on context without changing truth. They understand the audience and choose words accordingly. This flexibility is not manipulation, it is consideration. Effective communication meets people where they are. Over time, confident communication becomes a habit rather than an effort. You stop analyzing every sentence and start trusting your ability to express yourself clearly. This ease creates a sense of reliability. People feel comfortable engaging with someone whose communication feels stable and sincere. Confidence that inspires trust is not about dominance or charisma. It is about alignment, clarity, and respect. When your words reflect your values and your delivery reflects self-assurance, trust forms naturally. Communication becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. Through consistent practice, confidence becomes your default, and trust becomes the result. Chapter 14a. Invest in lifelong learning to stay relevant always. Lifelong learning is no longer optional. It is the response to a world that changes faster than any single skill can keep up with. What keeps a person relevant is not what they learned once, but how often they are willing to learn again. Knowledge has an expiration date when it is not refreshed. Those who remain curious stay adaptable. Those who stop learning slowly fall behind, even if they were once highly capable. Learning is not confined to classrooms or certificates. It is a mindset that stays open to improvement. When you adopt this mindset, growth becomes continuous rather than episodic. You stop waiting for formal opportunities and start creating informal ones. Every experience becomes a source of insight. Every challenge becomes a lesson rather than a setback. Relevance is built through awareness. Staying aware requires consistent exposure to new ideas, tools, and perspectives. This exposure keeps your thinking flexible. When thinking remains flexible, adaptation becomes easier. Rigid thinking struggles in changing environments. Learning keeps the mind agile and responsive. One of the biggest barriers to lifelong learning is comfort. Familiarity feels safe, but it also limits expansion. Learning often feels uncomfortable because it reveals gaps in understanding. Those gaps are not weaknesses. They are entry points for growth. When you view learning as refinement rather than correction, resistance decreases. Lifelong learners do not chase information randomly. They learn with intention. They focus on skills that align with their goals and values. This focus prevents overwhelm. Learning becomes purposeful rather than scattered. Purpose gives direction to effort. Another key element of continuous learning is humility. Accepting that there is always more to know keeps ego in check. This humility allows you to ask questions, seek feedback, and explore unfamiliar territory without fear. Those who believe they already know enough stop evolving. Those who remain humble keep expanding. Learning also strengthens confidence. Confidence grows when competence increases. Each new skill mastered expands your sense of capability. This confidence is grounded, not inflated. It is based on evidence rather than assumption. Grounded confidence adapts well to change. Lifelong learning also improves problem solving. Exposure to diverse ideas increases mental flexibility. You begin to see patterns across disciplines. Solutions become more creative because your mind has more reference points. Learning across areas strengthens insight within each area. Relevance also depends on communication. As language evolves, technology advances, and cultural contexts shift, staying informed helps you connect effectively. Learning keeps you fluent in current conversations. This fluency prevents isolation and misunderstanding. Another benefit of continuous learning is resilience. When industries change or roles shift, those with learning habits transition more smoothly. They are not defined by a single identity or skill. They adapt by acquiring what is needed next. This adaptability reduces fear during uncertainty. Learning also enhances curiosity. Curiosity keeps life engaging. It prevents stagnation and boredom. When curiosity is active, motivation remains steady. You are pulled forward by interest rather than pushed by pressure. This makes effort sustainable. Time is often used as an excuse to avoid learning. In reality, learning does not require large blocks of time. Small, consistent engagement is enough. Reading a few pages, listening to thoughtful discussions, or practicing a skill briefly each day compounds over time. Consistency matters more than intensity. Lifelong learning also improves decision-making. Informed decisions are more accurate and confident. Learning expands context. With more context, choices become clearer. You rely less on guesswork and more on understanding. Another important aspect is unlearning. Staying relevant sometimes requires releasing outdated beliefs or methods. This process can feel uncomfortable, but it creates space for improvement. Unlearning is not loss. It is refinement. Learning also strengthens independence. When you know how to learn, you rely less on others to stay capable. You can adapt without waiting for instruction. This independence is empowering. It allows you to navigate change proactively rather than reactively. Continuous learning also builds long-term value. Skills gained over time accumulate. Knowledge compounds. This compounding creates a depth of understanding that cannot be rushed. Those who invest consistently become valuable, not just for what they know, but for how they think. Another subtle benefit of lifelong learning is perspective. Exposure to different viewpoints reduces narrow thinking. It increases empathy and understanding. This perspective improves collaboration and leadership. Relevance is not just about skills, it is also about how well you relate to others. Learning keeps ambition healthy. It reminds you that growth is ongoing. You stop chasing static definitions of success and start focusing on development. This mindset reduces comparison and increases fulfillment. Staying relevant does not mean chasing every trend. It means understanding what matters and evolving accordingly. Learning helps you discern what to adopt and what to ignore. Discernment prevents distraction. Lifelong learning also protects against complacency. It keeps standards high without creating pressure. You improve because you want to, not because you fear falling behind. This intrinsic motivation sustains effort over decades. As the world continues to change, relevance will belong to those who remain learners. not because they know everything, but because they are willing to learn anything necessary. Lifelong learning is an investment that never stops paying. It keeps your skills sharp, your mind open, and your future flexible. Chapter 15v. Prioritize health and energy as your leadership foundation. Leadership does not begin with authority, strategy, or influence. It begins with energy. Without health, even the strongest vision weakens. Without energy, decision-making slows, patience thins, and consistency collapses. Leadership demands presence, and presence is powered by physical and mental well-being. When health is neglected, leadership becomes reactive. When health is prioritized, leadership becomes stable. Energy is the invisible currency behind every action you take. It determines how clearly you think, how calmly you respond, and how effectively you guide others. Leaders who protect their energy lead with intention rather than urgency. They are not constantly catching up. They set the pace. This control is not accidental. It is built through daily choices that support vitality instead of draining it. Health is often treated as a personal concern, separate from leadership performance. In reality, it is inseparable. How you sleep affects how you listen. How you eat influences how you decide. How you move your body impacts how you manage stress. Leadership is expressed through behavior, and behavior is shaped by physical state. When the body is neglected, leadership quality declines quietly but steadily. Prioritizing health is not about extremes or perfection, it is about sustainability. Leaders do not need rigid routines, they need reliable ones. Small, consistent habits create resilience. Regular movement, adequate rest, and intentional recovery protect long-term capacity. These practices allow leaders to remain effective even during pressure. Energy management is more important than time management. You can have time and still lack clarity if energy is depleted. High-energy leaders handle complexity better. They stay composed during conflict. They recover faster after setbacks. This resilience builds trust. People feel safer following someone who remains steady under strain. Mental health is equally foundational. Leadership involves constant problem-solving and emotional responsibility. Without mental clarity, stress accumulates. Chronic stress narrows thinking and increases reactivity. Leaders who prioritize mental well-being create space for reflection. They respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. This emotional regulation sets the tone for the entire environment they lead. Nutrition also plays a role. Fueling the body properly stabilizes energy levels. It reduces irritability and fatigue. Leaders who experience frequent energy crashes struggle to maintain consistency. Stability in physical energy supports stability in leadership behavior. Rest is often undervalued in leadership culture. Many associate exhaustion with commitment. In reality, exhaustion reduces effectiveness. Well-rested leaders make better decisions, communicate more clearly, and maintain perspective. Rest is not weakness. It is strategic recovery. Without it, burnout becomes inevitable. Movement supports leadership presence. Physical activity improves circulation, mood, and focus. It also releases tension stored in the body. Leaders who move regularly carry less stress into conversations. Their presence feels calmer. This calmness influences others more than words ever could. Health also shapes confidence. When you feel physically capable, posture improves, voice steadies, and engagement increases. Confidence rooted in physical well-being is natural. It does not need to be forced. Others sense it immediately. Energy awareness is a leadership skill. Knowing when to push and when to pause prevents depletion. Leaders who ignore signals of fatigue eventually lose clarity. Leaders who listen to those signals protect longevity. This awareness allows you to allocate energy intentionally rather than reactively. Health prioritization also improves boundaries. When energy is valued, overcommitment decreases. Leaders become selective with obligations. This selectivity improves quality. Fewer commitments executed well create more impact than constant overextension. Leadership is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters with clarity and consistency. Health supports this focus. When the body and mind are supported, distractions lose power. Attention sharpens. Purpose becomes easier to follow. Emotional energy matters as much as physical energy. Holding unresolved frustration, resentment, or pressure drains capacity. Leaders who process emotions regularly avoid emotional leakage. They do not project stress onto others. This emotional discipline strengthens trust. Health also supports adaptability. When energy is high, change feels manageable. When energy is low, even small changes feel overwhelming. Leaders operating from strength handle uncertainty with composure. This steadiness becomes a source of reassurance for others. Long-term leadership requires endurance. Short bursts of effort cannot sustain responsibility over years. Health provides that endurance. It allows leaders to remain engaged without burning out. This consistency builds credibility. Prioritizing health sends a message. It signals that sustainability matters. Teams often mirror leadership behavior. When leaders neglect health, others feel pressure to do the same. When leaders model balance, it creates permission for healthier performance standards. Health is also a form of self-respect. Leaders who respect themselves set a standard for how others treat them. This self-respect translates into clear expectations and firm boundaries. Leadership becomes grounded rather than reactive. Energy clarity improves communication. When you are rested and focused, words come out cleaner, tone improves, misunderstandings decrease. Communication becomes more effective because attention is fully present. Leadership challenges will always exist. Pressure is unavoidable. Health does not remove difficulty, but it increases capacity. You handle the same challenges with more grace and less strain. This difference compounds over time. The strongest leaders are not those who sacrifice themselves endlessly. They are those who protect their foundation. Health is that foundation. It supports vision, execution, and influence. Without it, leadership becomes fragile. When health and energy are prioritized, leadership becomes sustainable. Decisions improve, relationships strengthen, presence deepens. Over time, this foundation supports not only performance but longevity. Leadership rooted in health does not burn out, it endures. Chapter 60. Build meaningful relationships that elevate your personal journey. Meaningful relationships are not built by accident. They are shaped through intention, presence, and consistent effort. While achievement often feels like a solo pursuit, personal growth is deeply influenced by the people you allow into your life. Relationships either expand your perspective or slowly limit it. The quality of your connections quietly determines the quality of your journey. True relationships are not based on convenience or constant agreement. They are built on mutual respect, honesty, and shared values. These connections challenge you without diminishing you. They encourage growth without comparison. When relationships are meaningful, they do not drain your energy, they refine it. Many people confuse proximity with connection. Being around others does not guarantee depth. Meaningful relationships require engagement beyond surface interaction. They involve listening with attention, responding with care, and showing up consistently. Depth is created when people feel seen rather than merely acknowledged. Trust is the foundation of any relationship that elevates you. Trust develops over time through reliability and integrity. When words and actions align, trust strengthens. Without trust, relationships remain guarded. With trust, communication becomes open and growth accelerates. Meaningful relationships also require emotional maturity. This maturity allows you to handle disagreement without withdrawal and difference without defensiveness. Growth-oriented relationships are not free of conflict. They are defined by how conflict is handled. Respectful resolution deepens bonds rather than weakening them. Another essential element is reciprocity. Healthy relationships involve balance. Support flows both ways. Growth occurs when effort is mutual. One-sided relationships eventually create imbalance and exhaustion. Meaningful connections energize because contribution is shared. Relationships that elevate your journey also support authenticity. You are not required to perform or pretend. You are allowed to evolve. These relationships do not cling to outdated versions of you. They adapt as you grow. This flexibility creates psychological safety. Growth-focused relationships often involve honest feedback, not criticism, but clarity. People who care about your progress are willing to speak truth with respect. This honesty is valuable because it comes from alignment, not competition. Feedback delivered with care accelerates development. Meaningful relationships also expand perspective. Exposure to different experiences, viewpoints, and ways of thinking broadens understanding. This expansion prevents stagnation. You begin to see possibilities that were previously invisible. Growth becomes collaborative rather than isolated. Time plays a crucial role. Relationships deepen through shared experiences over time. Consistency matters more than intensity. Regular connection builds familiarity and trust. Small interactions repeated often strengthen bonds more effectively than rare dramatic gestures. Boundaries are also vital. Healthy relationships respect limits. They allow space without guilt. Boundaries protect individuality while supporting connection. When boundaries are honored, relationships remain sustainable. Meaningful relationships are built through presence. Being fully engaged during interactions communicates value. Distraction weakens connection. Attention strengthens it. When people feel prioritized, trust deepens naturally. Another important factor is shared growth. Relationships that elevate you encourage learning, reflection, and improvement. Growth does not need to occur at the same pace, but direction matters. Alignment in values sustains connection even during change. Relationships also influence self-perception. The way others treat you shapes how you see yourself. Supportive relationships reinforce confidence and self-worth. Dismissive relationships erode them. Choosing relationships intentionally protects inner stability. Meaningful connections also provide accountability. When surrounded by people who value growth, complacency decreases. Accountability does not feel like pressure, it feels like encouragement. Progress becomes shared rather than solitary. Emotional safety is another hallmark. In meaningful relationships, vulnerability is met with respect. Mistakes are not weaponized. Growth is supported, not judged. This safety allows deeper exploration of potential. Relationships that elevate your journey also celebrate progress. Recognition reinforces effort. Being seen during moments of growth strengthens motivation. Celebration within relationships builds momentum. It is also important to release relationships that no longer align. Growth sometimes requires letting go. This does not mean blame or resentment. It means honoring change. Holding on to misaligned connections restricts progress. Releasing them creates space for new alignment. Meaningful relationships are not about quantity. They are about quality. A few strong connections create more impact than many shallow ones. Depth provides stability. Stability supports growth. These relationships also offer perspective during difficulty. When challenges arise, supportive connections provide grounding. They remind you of your values and strengths. This grounding prevents isolation and discouragement. Building meaningful relationships requires patience. Trust cannot be rushed. Depth develops gradually. Consistency builds credibility. Over time, connection strengthens naturally. Another aspect is shared values. Values guide behavior. When values align, understanding increases. Misalignment creates friction. Meaningful relationships thrive when core values resonate, even if personalities differ. Relationships also require maintenance. Communication, appreciation, and presence keep them alive. Neglect weakens connection. Intentional effort sustains it. Meaningful relationships elevate your journey by reminding you that growth is not meant to be experienced alone. They provide support without dependency. They encourage independence while offering connection. This balance strengthens resilience. As you grow, relationships evolve. Some deepen, some change form. This evolution is natural. Staying open allows new connections to form that align with your current direction. Ultimately, meaningful relationships reflect your values and intentions. They mirror your commitment to growth. By choosing connections thoughtfully and nurturing them with care, you create an environment that supports your highest potential. These relationships do not just accompany your journey, they shape it. Chapter 17. I overcome fear by taking bold action every day. Fear is not an enemy to be eliminated, it is a signal to be acknowledged. Every time fear arises, it points to a space where growth is possible. Most people respond to fear by retreating, waiting for it to disappear, or avoiding the situation entirely. Avoidance temporarily reduces discomfort, but it also freezes potential. Courage does not exist in the absence of fear. It exists when action occurs despite it. Bold action transforms fear from a barrier into a teacher. Taking action consistently rewires the mind. When you move through fear repeatedly, the nervous system learns that risk does not equal disaster. Each step forward builds tolerance for uncertainty. Over time, what once seemed paralyzing becomes manageable. Fear loses its intensity when met with repeated, intentional motion. Bold action begins with small, deliberate steps. You do not need to leap into extreme situations immediately. Progress is built incrementally. Each decision to act against hesitation strengthens confidence. Small victories accumulate, creating momentum that fuels larger actions. Momentum becomes the antidote to the cycle of avoidance. Fear often exaggerates potential consequences. The mind imagines worst-case scenarios, many of which never occur. Taking action interrupts this distortion. Experience replaces assumption. Reality provides clarity. You begin to see that the imagined dangers are often smaller than anticipated. Action creates evidence, not speculation. Commitment is central to overcoming fear. Committing to action removes negotiation. Instead of asking if it feels safe or convenient, you choose what must be done and follow through. This removes the influence of fluctuating emotion. Discipline ensures that fear does not dictate behavior. Each commitment fulfilled reinforces self-trust. Action also changes perspective. When you hesitate, fear grows. When you move, fear shrinks. Movement provides information that stillness cannot. You discover what you are capable of, what needs preparation, and what can be improved. Knowledge gained through action empowers further decisions. Bold action requires ownership of discomfort. It demands accepting that growth often feels uneasy. Fear is not a flaw. It is a natural response to stepping outside comfort zones. By acknowledging this discomfort rather than resisting it, you maintain momentum. Resistance amplifies fear. Acceptance converts energy into motion. Consistency is essential. Taking bold action once creates a brief shift, but habitual action transforms identity. Fear loses its authority when it is met daily. Each act of courage strengthens neural pathways that support resilience. Gradually, acting despite fear becomes automatic rather than exceptional. Another key aspect is visualization combined with action. Seeing the desired outcome mentally primes the nervous system, but visualization alone is insufficient. Action converts potential into reality. Bold steps create tangible evidence that reinforces confidence. Success is built from experience, not imagination. Fear thrives in isolation. Talking about goals, intentions, and challenges with supportive individuals reduces its power. Sharing plans creates accountability and perspective. Bold action is easier when reinforced by a network that encourages growth rather than amplifies doubt. Collaboration strengthens resolve. Preparation enhances courage. Understanding the situation reduces uncertainty, which is often the core of fear. Strategic planning does not eliminate risk, but it makes action more precise and less intimidating. Preparation combined with execution forms a feedback loop that builds competence and reduces hesitation. Fear is often tied to identity. You may believe that failure will define you or that taking risks exposes inadequacy. Bold action separates identity from circumstance. Each step becomes a statement. Growth is not conditional on comfort, but on effort. Fear loses its personal grip when action demonstrates capability. Emotional regulation supports bold action. Fear triggers physiological responses, rapid heartbeat, tension, shallow breathing. Learning to manage these responses prevents them from dictating decisions. Techniques like controlled breathing, focus shifts, and self-talk allow action to occur even when fear signals alarm. Failure is an inevitable companion on this path. Bold action does not guarantee immediate success. What it guarantees is experience. Each failure provides insight into strategy, timing, and preparation. When action is consistent, failure becomes a teacher rather than a barrier. Courage is strengthened through lessons learned, not avoided. Accountability accelerates progress. Public or personal commitments increase follow-through. Fear diminishes when action is expected and measured. Responsibility to oneself or others reinforces courage. Each completed action builds a chain of trust with yourself that fear cannot break. Action also strengthens perception of risk. The unknown feels less threatening when it is approached repeatedly. Experience calibrates judgment. You learn to distinguish genuine threats from imagined ones. Bold action refines intuition and decision-making. Fear becomes an advisor rather than a dictator. Self-reflection is vital. After each act of courage, analyze what worked, what did not, and what was learned. Reflection transforms isolated actions into a cumulative growth process. Awareness amplifies progress, making each subsequent step more confident and precise. The compounding effect of daily bold action is profound. At first, fear may dominate certain areas of life, limiting decisions and opportunities. Over time, habitual courage rewires perspective. Challenges that once caused hesitation are now approached with focus. Fear becomes context, not limitation. Finally, bold action nurtures self-belief. Each choice to move despite uncertainty confirms capability. Confidence emerges organically through repeated proof. You no longer wait for motivation or certainty. You act because action itself is a strategy for overcoming fear. This creates a life defined by movement, progress, and the relentless pursuit of growth, not by hesitation or imagined limitations. Chapter 8: Lead with integrity that reflects your core values. Integrity is not a title or a badge. It is a consistent alignment between belief, word, and action. Leadership rooted in integrity is steady because it is anchored in principles rather than convenience. Decisions are made through the lens of what is right rather than what is expedient. People sense this consistency, even without explicit explanation, and it fosters trust that cannot be manufactured. Integrity creates credibility that transcends skill, position, or influence. Leading with integrity requires clarity of values. Without a clear understanding of what you stand for, choices become reactive and inconsistent. Values act as a compass. They guide decisions when pressure is high, when scrutiny is intense, and when incentives tempt compromise. When actions reflect core beliefs, others observe authenticity, which strengthens respect and influence naturally. Integrity also demands courage. It often requires saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It involves holding to standards even when the path is unpopular or costly. True leadership is tested in moments of ethical tension. Acting with integrity under these conditions signals to others that trust is earned, not assumed. Transparency is a fundamental component. When leaders are open about their reasoning, intentions, and limitations, they eliminate ambiguity. People feel confident following someone whose decisions are visible and consistent with declared principles. Transparency does not mean sharing everything indiscriminately, but it does mean avoiding deception and unnecessary secrecy. Consistency amplifies integrity. Occasional ethical behavior is not sufficient. Leadership effectiveness is cumulative, built over countless decisions and interactions. Each choice that reflects values reinforces credibility. Each choice that compromises principles erodes it. Over time, the pattern of behavior becomes more significant than individual outcomes. Integrity is also reflected in accountability. Leaders who admit mistakes rather than deflect responsibility demonstrate strength. Accountability models honesty for the entire organization. It communicates that errors are opportunities for correction, not excuses for blame. This approach fosters a culture of reliability and mutual respect. Ethical alignment strengthens decision-making. When choices are grounded in values, decisions are less vulnerable to emotional fluctuation or external pressure. A leader anchored in integrity maintains perspective during conflict, negotiation, or crisis. Clarity of purpose guides action, reducing the influence of short-term incentives that can compromise long-term reputation. Trust is built by observing repeated integrity. People intuitively notice when a leader's actions are predictable in their ethical stance. Reliability fosters a safe environment for collaboration, innovation, and problem-solving. Individuals are more willing to invest energy and creativity when they know leadership will act consistently and justly. Integrity is not limited to public actions. Private behavior matters equally. When private decisions reflect the same standards as public ones, integrity becomes internalized. This alignment reduces cognitive dissonance and strengthens self-respect. Leaders who behave ethically in all contexts cultivate authority that feels authentic rather than imposed. Leading with integrity also influences culture. Values-based leadership sets norms for the organization. Employees mirror principles they see consistently modeled. A culture of integrity attracts people who value accountability, honesty, and ethical excellence. Conversely, inconsistent leadership undermines morale and fosters skepticism. Decision-making under pressure tests character. Integrity ensures that immediate gains do not compromise long-term vision or relationships. Leaders who act solely for convenience risk reputation and influence. Those who uphold principles, even at cost, create lasting impact. Their legacy is measured not just by outcomes, but by the manner in which decisions were made. Integrity involves self-awareness. Leaders must recognize areas where personal bias, ambition, or fear might conflict with core values. Honest reflection allows course correction before actions cause harm. Self-monitoring maintains alignment between intention and behavior, reinforcing credibility over time. Communication reflects integrity when it is honest, precise, and respectful. Misrepresentation, exaggeration, or omission erodes trust. Clear, candid communication ensures that intentions are understood and expectations are realistic. Integrity in messaging reduces misunderstanding and aligns perception with reality. Empathy complements integrity. Ethical leadership considers the impact of decisions on others. Integrity without awareness of consequence can appear rigid or disconnected. Understanding the human dimension strengthens trust and reinforces the perception of fairness. Leaders who balance principle with consideration foster loyalty and commitment. Integrity also requires resisting shortcuts. Expedient solutions that compromise standards create fragile victories. Sustainable leadership emerges from adherence to principle, even when the process is slower or more demanding. Long-term influence is built on reliability, not convenience. Consistency under scrutiny is particularly revealing. Leaders who maintain values when observed or judged establish reliability. Those who change behavior depending on attention or audience weaken trust. Integrity is demonstrated in unseen actions as much as in public ones, and often more convincingly. Integrity fosters resilience. When challenges arise, decisions grounded in principle provide a stable framework for response. Pressure, criticism, and uncertainty are easier to navigate when actions reflect enduring values. This internal steadiness communicates confidence to others, strengthening cohesion and cooperation. Leaders with integrity model ethical courage for those around them. Observers learn that adherence to principle is not optional, but essential. The example inspires others to act with honesty, fairness, and accountability, creating a ripple effect that strengthens the broader system of influence. Ultimately, leadership with integrity is a reflection of self-alignment. It is not performed, it is lived. The leader's identity is consistent across roles, decisions, and interactions. This alignment builds trust that is not contingent on position, performance, or charisma. It is enduring because it is anchored in authenticity. By consistently making choices that reflect core values, leaders create an environment where trust, accountability, and respect are the natural byproducts. Influence becomes reliable, relationships deepen, and the organization thrives on clarity and principle. Integrity transforms leadership from transactional to transformational, from fleeting authority to lasting impact. It becomes the invisible force that guides behavior, strengthens culture, and ensures that progress is built on a foundation that cannot be compromised. Chapter 19. Adapt quickly to change and uncertainty with courage. Change is inevitable, but adaptation is a skill that must be cultivated intentionally. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned, and circumstances can shift without warning. The measure of success is not in avoiding disruption, but in how quickly and effectively one responds to it. Those who adapt with courage treat uncertainty not as a threat, but as a call to action. Resistance prolongs discomfort, willingness accelerates resolution. Flexibility begins with mindset. A rigid approach to life or work magnifies stress when plans falter. Those who maintain openness are able to assess new conditions objectively. Openness does not mean passivity, it means willingness to evaluate, adjust, and move forward without being weighed down by attachment to prior expectations. Mental flexibility enables rapid recalibration in response to unforeseen events. Courage is essential in adaptation. Change often carries risk, and uncertainty triggers fear. Acting despite the unknown requires the willingness to step forward even without guaranteed outcomes. Each courageous choice reinforces resilience and gradually diminishes hesitation. Over time, facing uncertainty becomes less intimidating and more empowering. Observation is the first step in adaptation. Assessing the environment carefully allows for informed decisions. Jumping into action without understanding the context can compound challenges. Attentive observation identifies opportunities within disruption, reveals potential pitfalls, and clarifies which adjustments are necessary. Insight precedes effective action. Decisiveness transforms observation into momentum. Analysis alone does not create progress, it only informs. Courageous leaders convert insight into deliberate steps. Rapid, purposeful action ensures that change is navigated rather than endured. Even imperfect action is preferable to stagnation because it generates feedback that allows continuous improvement. Adaptation also requires emotional regulation. Uncertainty triggers stress responses that narrow thinking and increase impulsivity. By maintaining composure, the mind remains clear and capable of evaluating options effectively. Emotional control allows action to be guided by reason rather than fear, increasing the likelihood of favorable outcomes. Another critical component is learning agility. The willingness to absorb new information, revise assumptions, and apply lessons quickly determines the speed of adaptation. Those who resist learning struggle to adjust because their framework remains outdated. Rapid learning allows leaders to align strategy with reality rather than with outdated expectations. Flexibility in approach often necessitates creativity. Conventional solutions may not fit new circumstances. Courageous adaptation explores alternatives that may have been previously overlooked. Experimentation under uncertainty cultivates innovation, turning challenges into opportunities rather than obstacles. Creativity combined with decisiveness accelerates progress. Communication is vital during change. Sharing understanding, plans, and adjustments with others reduces confusion and fosters collaboration. When leaders communicate transparently, teams are empowered to act cohesively rather than react chaotically. Clear direction under uncertain conditions amplifies effectiveness and builds trust. Prioritization is another essential skill. Not every aspect of change demands immediate attention. Courageous adaptation involves identifying critical elements, addressing them first, and sequencing actions strategically. This focus prevents overwhelm and maximizes impact. Attention directed strategically ensures that energy is invested in what matters most. Adaptation also demands self-awareness. Recognizing personal limitations, emotional triggers, and habitual responses allows for proactive management of reactions. Self-aware individuals make deliberate choices rather than being driven by anxiety or ego. This awareness strengthens both personal resilience and leadership effectiveness. Persistence reinforces adaptation. Initial attempts may fail or produce partial results. Courageous individuals treat setbacks as feedback rather than defeat. Continuity of effort, informed by lessons learned, accelerates recovery and adjustment. Persistence converts uncertainty into a pathway rather than a barrier. Relationships influence adaptation. Collaboration with others provides support, perspective, and additional resources. Engaging trusted allies enhances problem-solving and reduces isolation during transitions. Adaptable individuals leverage networks not as crutches, but as accelerators for informed action. Time management under uncertainty is crucial. While change may be rapid, prioritizing high-value actions prevents distraction. Swift adaptation does not mean rushing indiscriminately. It means allocating attention efficiently. Deliberate pacing within urgency ensures sustainable progress. Reflection strengthens future adaptability. After each transition, reviewing what worked, what didn't, and why builds a mental playbook for navigating subsequent challenges. This cumulative insight improves speed and quality of decisions when new uncertainties arise. Adaptation also requires humility. Accepting that past methods may no longer be effective opens space for innovation. Ego-based resistance slows responsiveness. Humble leaders are willing to admit when change requires new skills, perspectives, or approaches. Humility accelerates learning and alignment with reality. Risk assessment supports courage in action. Evaluating potential consequences while maintaining willingness to act reduces unnecessary exposure to harm. Informed risk taking balances opportunity with protection, allowing decisive moves without recklessness. Courage combined with prudence maximizes effectiveness. Adaptation fosters resilience beyond individual situations. Each successful adjustment strengthens confidence in the ability to handle future uncertainty. Over time, individuals develop a mindset where change is seen not as disruption, but as an inevitable feature of growth. This perspective reduces anxiety and enhances performance. Adaptability is reinforced by routines that stabilize energy and focus. Consistent habits in health, preparation, and reflection create a foundation from which flexible responses are launched. Strong personal routines allow leaders to pivot without being destabilized by external volatility. Courageous adaptation also involves letting go of attachment to specific outcomes. Flexibility requires focusing on process and options rather than rigid expectations. When results diverge from plans, adaptive individuals recalibrate quickly instead of resisting reality. Letting go frees energy for constructive action. Finally, leading through change inspires confidence in others. Observing calm, decisive, and courageous adaptation models behavior for teams or communities. Leadership under uncertainty becomes contagious. Those who witness composure and effectiveness are more likely to follow, participate, and innovate themselves. Adaptation is therefore both a mindset and a practice. It combines observation, decisiveness, emotional regulation, learning agility, creativity, communication, self-awareness, persistence, humility, and courage. Those who cultivate these qualities respond to change not as a threat, but as an arena for action. Uncertainty no longer paralyzes, it becomes the environment in which growth, resilience, and leadership are demonstrated and strengthened. Chapter 28. Commit to continuous self-improvement for lasting transformation. Continuous self-improvement is not a goal that has a finish line. It is a commitment to ongoing refinement of skills, mindset, and character. Transformation that lasts is never achieved through a single effort or sudden change. It grows through persistent action, reflection, and adaptation. Each deliberate step forward compounds over time, shaping both identity and impact. The process begins with awareness. Understanding your strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies provides the clarity necessary for meaningful growth. Self-awareness illuminates areas that need attention while highlighting the foundations already in place. Without this understanding, improvement becomes random and unfocused, often yielding temporary or superficial change. Commitment to self-improvement requires honest self-reflection. This involves acknowledging failures, accepting limitations, and confronting habits that impede progress. It is not indulgent criticism but constructive assessment. Honest evaluation allows for targeted action, transforming insights into practical strategies for growth. The willingness to see oneself clearly separates those who evolve from those who remain stagnant. Consistency is the backbone of lasting transformation. Sporadic effort produces short-lived results, but regular practice embeds new habits and perspectives deeply into behavior. Daily routines, repeated exercises, and persistent challenges create momentum. Over time, these efforts accumulate into measurable progress that is both tangible and internalized. Learning must be intentional. Continuous self-improvement involves acquiring knowledge and skills that align with personal goals and values. This learning is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and applied. Integrating new information into daily practices reinforces retention and ensures that growth is functional rather than theoretical. Each lesson becomes a tool for action, not merely an idea to admire. Adaptability is essential. Self-improvement is not linear. Obstacles, setbacks, and changing circumstances will arise, and flexibility allows for course correction. Those committed to growth do not abandon effort when conditions shift. They adjust strategies and continue forward. Adaptation transforms challenges into opportunities, sustaining momentum even under pressure. Discipline drives continuous improvement. Motivation fluctuates, but disciplined action ensures progress regardless of external circumstances. Developing systems and routines that reinforce growth reduces reliance on willpower alone. Discipline creates reliability, making transformation inevitable over time rather than dependent on fleeting emotional states. Reflection consolidates learning. Regular assessment of progress allows for identification of effective strategies and recognition of areas needing adjustment. Reflection is both backward-looking and forward-planning. It honors what has been accomplished while directing future efforts. This process prevents stagnation and ensures that growth remains aligned with evolving goals. Commitment to self-improvement also involves embracing discomfort. Change often requires stepping outside comfort zones, facing uncertainty, and confronting difficult truths. Growth rarely occurs in spaces of ease. Deliberate exposure to challenges strengthens resilience and broadens capability. The ability to tolerate discomfort distinguishes those who achieve lasting transformation from those who seek temporary convenience. Accountability strengthens effort. Whether through mentors, peers, or self-imposed systems, accountability ensures that intentions translate into action. Transparent tracking of progress provides clarity and motivation. Commitment becomes tangible when actions are visible and measurable, reinforcing responsibility to oneself and to others invested in the journey. Mindset shapes the trajectory of self-improvement. Growth-oriented thinking sees potential where others see limitation. It interprets setbacks as lessons rather than failures. By cultivating a mindset that values learning over judgment, individuals sustain motivation, curiosity, and engagement. Even when progress feels slow or difficult, continuous self-improvement also integrates physical, mental, and emotional development. Neglecting one dimension undermines the others. Energy, focus, and emotional stability enhance the effectiveness of skills and knowledge acquired. Physical and mental health are not secondary, they form the foundation for sustained growth. A holistic approach ensures transformation is robust and enduring. Persistence reinforces the compounding effect of improvement. Immediate results are rare, and meaningful change requires ongoing effort. The cumulative impact of small, repeated actions often surpasses dramatic, short-term efforts. Persistence solidifies habits, embeds knowledge, and deepens skill sets, creating transformation that withstands the tests of time. Curiosity fuels engagement. The desire to explore new ideas, challenge assumptions, and seek feedback enhances learning. Curiosity transforms improvement from obligation into exploration, sustaining energy and interest over long periods. Those who remain curious are naturally drawn to opportunities for growth, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of development. Emotional intelligence amplifies the effectiveness of self-improvement. Awareness and regulation of emotions improve decision-making, communication, and relationships. Self-improvement is not solely about knowledge or skill, but also about the ability to interact with the world effectively. Emotional growth ensures that transformation is socially integrated and impactful. The willingness to take responsibility is central to lasting transformation. Blaming external circumstances or other people limits growth. Committing to self-improvement requires ownership of actions, outcomes, and attitudes. Responsibility transforms challenges into learning experiences, ensuring that progress is driven by intentional choice rather than external condition. Goal setting enhances focus. Clear, actionable objectives guide effort, making growth measurable and directed. Without specific targets, improvement risks being unfocused or inconsistent. Goals provide checkpoints that allow for celebration of progress and adjustment of strategies, sustaining motivation and clarity of purpose. Feedback is a critical accelerator. Engaging with perspectives beyond oneself exposes blind spots and enriches understanding. Constructive feedback, when applied thoughtfully, transforms perception into actionable insight. Learning from others expands the breadth and depth of growth, making transformation more complete and integrated. Self-improvement requires patience. Meaningful change is gradual, often imperceptible day to day, but dramatic in cumulative effect. Impatience leads to frustration or abandonment of effort. Those committed to transformation understand that lasting results emerge from sustained, measured action, not from quick fixes or shortcuts. Finally, continuous self-improvement becomes self-reinforcing. Each step forward builds confidence, capability, and curiosity. Transformation becomes identity, and identity drives further growth. The journey is ongoing, and the commitment itself evolves. By dedicating oneself to constant refinement, skill expansion, emotional growth, and personal clarity, lasting transformation is not only possible, it becomes inevitable. The process shapes not only what you do, but who you are, creating a life defined by progress, adaptability, and enduring purpose.